greatest rebound and rebuild with a championship.
If you're going to war and I'm coaching, I'm taking these guys.
Baylor, kings of college basketball, #1 in the land, and the trophy is coming to Waco.
Baylor, one of the great turnarounds in college athletics history, national champions in year 18 for Scott Drew.
Our fans that have been with us for the lean years, the good years, and our administration, President Livingstone, Mac Rhodes, they all deserve this. The city of Waco deserves this. Hey, Texas, we got a national championship too. The state deserves it.
Did I stutter?
He has time, launches it to the end zone. Touchdown! Terrence Williams!
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
The 2011 winner of the Heisman Trophy is Robert Griffin III, RG3!
Welcome to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Langoliers, base hit to center, and the Baylor Bears win their first Big 12 tournament championship.
Their fat little girlfriends are telling them what they want to hear, which is how great you are.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Yep, just ready for OU.
You can't handle the truth.
Here's Drake Toll.
Welcome into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Friday, everybody. 11 o'clock. Good morning to the folks in Waco on the East Coast. Good afternoon. I'm Drake Toll. I got Armstrong, Sims, Andrew Robertson, Marquise Cooley, and Jack Mckenzie. It's a full studio today on the show. And we got a loaded guest list talking a lot of baseball today. And the big question that we'll get to on the top of the show, will Baylor baseball make the postseason? I got about a ream of paper worth of stuff that I worked on for hours last night trying to figure out what Baylor's odds are, and I can tell you they were better last night than they are today for multiple reasons. Baylor baseball in the postseason, two things that, well, will they go together? We'll find out. Outside of that, Baylor tennis. Rob, you mentioned this to me at the top of the show. You came in this morning and mentioned it. Konstantin Franzen and Adrian Boitan both fell in the national semifinal yesterday. Both those groups making it to the Final Four, though.
It's impressive. I mean, Final Four is about as high as you could hope. At that point, it becomes more of a, who's peaking at the right time, who's hot, who's not. Obviously sad. They're friends of the program. But, great season. Konstantin Franzen's going to make noise in the pro level, I'm sure, and we get the other guys back for another year.
Yes, Sven Law comes back, Adrian Boitan as well. Again, both of them falling in Orlando. They had played for, it was close to 8 straight days. They had matches in Orlando. I think it was seven exactly straight days that those guys had gone without stopping. Not healthy from an NCAA standpoint. Boitan dropped the first set in a tiebreaker, 7-6, trailed by a break at 3-1 in the second. Fatigue set in, and he couldn't take it any longer. They had to close up shop on Adrian Boitan. And then for Konstantin Franzen and Sven Law, they faced the number 4 doubles pairing in the country from Tennessee, dropped it 7-5 and 6-4. So Boitan, Connie Franzen, and Sven Law, they're done. But history was made for Baylor men's tennis by both of those guys making a Final Four this season. The first time in program history. It's never happened that Baylor has had multiple, whether it be singles and doubles, in the Final Four of a season. I don't know if you saw this too, but women's basketball released some scheduling news yesterday. Baylor to play Michigan, a rematch of the Sweet 16 game from last year. So Nicki Collins already got a schedule that's going to be able to help prove her as a head coach pretty early on.
Yeah, it's good to schedule, high caliber games. You want to make sure your out-of-conference play holds up with the in-conference play. And as far as the Big 12 for women's basketball, it's not, not the same caliber as men's, where I think men's basketball, Big 12 is probably the best conference in the country. ACC is close behind. So you got to make sure you schedule high caliber out-of-conference opponents to try to prove yourself in your first year.
Nicki Collins is doing so. They got Michigan again, the same team they faced in the Sweet 16. Coming up on the docket, Louisville and UConn play one another as well in the same showcase. I'm looking here, too, at track and the Baylor track program. They are in College Station right now, competing in the West Regional, the NCAAs. Alex Madlock, Tuesday Tidwell earned spots in the NCAA championships yesterday. Akira Nugent earned a spot in the quarterfinals. So 2 athletes have already advanced to Eugene, Oregon. One in Akira Nugent, along with a couple others, have punched their tickets to the quarterfinals in College Station to compete for that spot in the National Showcase. You've got Akira Nugent that we talked about. Sydney Washington is also going to the quarterfinals in the 100 meters. Aaliyah Miller, Kavia Francis, Aria Minor, Maria Ayers will also be going to the quarterfinals, respectively. So a couple of Baylor track athletes that are moving on. Baylor football yesterday, a schedule release, gave out their first couple times for their games to start the season. I think it's beautiful. I'd much rather be Baylor right now than I would be – hello? I'd much rather be Baylor right now than I would be Oklahoma or because I don't know if you saw the Oklahoma mess, but them in Nebraska, 11 o'clock is I know they feel slighted. 11 a.m. kickoffs are horrible, not only for the players but for the fans. Every game I've been to at McLean that's at 11, it seems like the stadium's a little less vibrant. There's a little less people. Starting the season with 2 6 p.m. games, although one is away. The home opener being at 6 p.m. is huge for Baylor. I mean, probably going to be a huge crowd, especially for a low market team that they're playing in, Southern. What is it? I don't know. STU. Southern, yes, you got Southern Texas. Yeah, and then Texas Southern. I'm sorry, and then you're going. That first game's at Texas State, and then Kansas week 3 at 2:30. I mean, those 3 games are prime time, watchable games. 11 a.m. kickoffs are horrible. I was just glad to see none of those in the first 3. I think the early schedule bodes well for Baylor time-wise. I agree. First game being at 6 at home. One of the things folks are complaining about is you got 6 at Texas Southern or at Texas State. That surprised me a lot that the game at Texas State would be a night game. Then you go 6 o'clock at home against Texas Southern. That didn't surprise me as much, although Baylor's not supposed to be very good next year. Not supposed to be very good if you ask ESPN or national analysts. Just wait on that. And then Kansas at 2:30. I think that's really reasonable. I thought Kansas would be an 11 o'clock game. But the reason that they're such great times is because they're not on ESPN. They're not nationally broadcast. They're going to be on ESPN+. A lot of folks are complaining about these games being on ESPN+, but if I'm giving my 2 cents here, Baylor, who around the country is like, hey, man, I could either watch Oklahoma play North Dakota or I could watch Baylor play Kansas. I mean, most people are probably wanting to watch the top 5 team. So Baylor being on ESPN+, I don't think it's a problem. I think the folks that are like, oh, put Baylor on ESPN. There's only like 3 channels. I mean, Baylor will get its time on ESPN, not for these, Baylor versus Texas State is not going to be a heavily televised, audience anyway. So I think I'd much rather prefer, personally, nice, great scheduling times and it being on ESPN Plus than 11 a.m. on ESPN for those smaller market games. Now, when Baylor plays Texas Tech or Baylor plays Kansas State or Baylor plays Iowa State or Oklahoma or Texas, those games are going to be, more easily available and they're going to be televised probably on ESPN. But for these smaller market teams, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I'd prefer the later times for sure. So with the times that Baylor did release, we're about to get into baseball here, why Baylor baseball make the NCAA tournament. With these times, though, that have been released, do they bode well for Baylor? Do you think these favor Baylor? Just because of the time of day. I think the home opener being at 6 p.m. heavily favors Baylor. I think it's much easier to draw a crowd to a stadium when it's a 6 p.m. game compared to an 11 a.m. game. From what I've seen firsthand and just me being a fan, I'm much more likely to attend a game if it's at 6 p.m. And I think a lot of fans have that same mentality. That being said, for Texas State, I don't think it's really going to matter. I honestly think it's probably going to be a pretty split crowd. I could see a lot of Baylor fans traveling to Texas State. Hopefully so. So, yeah, that's what we hope. I don't think that home opener really matters. I think for the players, it might be a little more special to play their first game of the season, under the lights, maybe better atmosphere. And then for Kansas, Kansas is just Kansas. We should just go in there and handle business. We could play them at 11. We could play them at midnight. I don't think it's going to matter with Kansas. How about this? We're about to get into baseball. T-Rex says, open the phone lines. I got something to say. We can sneak T-Rex in here probably really quickly before we get into this baseball segment. We're joined by a guest at 11:30 today. But I want to preface this baseball conversation before we get into the details of it all. T-Rex phone lines are open. A-Rob, if I ask you right now, before we throw out any stats, any RPI, any strength of schedule, anything, does Baylor baseball make the NCAA tournament? What do you say?
I do not think Baylor baseball has a chance to make the NCAA tournament. Now, although I'd like them to, I don't think they have a chance.
Armstrong, if I got you gun to the head, just does Baylor make it in, yes or no? And you got to be right.
No. Not even close.
Not even close.
I mean, they're going to be close. The statistics will say they're close, but they won't make it in.
Oh, we'll find out. We got a T-Rex. T-Rex.
We will find out.
Really quickly right here before we get into this baseball conversation, what do you got for us?
Hey, baseball can wait because guess what? They're going to make it to the playoffs, and you're going to tell us why. And that's all that matters. I just want to say something in regards to the scheduling. I think that ESPN Plus is the greatest thing since sliced bread. You know why? Because I can go anywhere in this great world, and if I could get cell phone service and get some data on the moon, I could watch Baylor football anywhere. That's why it's awesome. Our fans, I'm sorry, but our fans forget so easily, so quickly, how it felt to never have a game on TV. We could play Texas and our game wouldn't be broadcasted because we didn't matter. But now we have a TV contract. Now every game is on some type of platform. We're a small fan base, smaller than TCU. No matter what people want to argue, we have a smaller footprint in the sports world than TCU. We're the smallest fan base, smallest TV market in the Big 12, one of the smallest in the Power 5, one of the smallest in FBS. We're playing games that don't matter to the rest of the world. Be happy that we have an opportunity to watch it. And if you're complaining about paying $5.99, then you better not have Netflix. You better not have Hulu. You better not have Amazon Prime shipping. You better not have any subscription services. And you better not be going to Starbucks every morning buying a $7 latte. Because $5.99 to watch every single Baylor sport, including our national championship winning basketball team multiple times this past season, is a just great thing. It's a godsend. I understand that the commentators aren't the best, but if you want good commentators, if you want Herb Street, you want ABC, then go out and win football games and you'll get ABC. Until then, until we're winning the Big 12, we don't deserve 7 o'clock kickoffs on ABC. We don't deserve ESPN1. We have to earn that. It's not given. It's earned. Be happy that all our games are on TV, Baylor Nation. And if you got a problem and you don't want to watch on ESPN Plus, I got a solution. It's a little bit more expensive than $5.99. It's called buying a ticket and showing the hell up to the games. Stop complaining. Watch it on TV or get your ass there. SicEm Bears.
Thanks for your call, T-Rex. I have a Bear Games question for you, but that was a no lies detected in that tangent. You want the Bear Games question? Oh, he's gone. That was emphatic.
Drop the mic.
No lies detected from T-Rex today. All right, I want to get into now baseball, Baylor baseball season, and what it is that is going to propel Baylor into the postseason. Cue the music. So I got a list right here that was sent to me yesterday by somebody in the Baylor Athletics departments. Credit goes to Baylor. What every school does that's on the bubble is they send their resume to their conference, and the conference is going to send the resume from the school, the university, over to the NCAA committee. So these are the same notes that the NCAA committee will review on Sunday to determine whether or not Baylor baseball is going to make it in the postseason. Note number 1. These are the reasons why Baylor baseball is going to make it in. I'm going to start with these quick facts. Then I'm going to roll through RPI and what the RPI means for Baylor baseball right now and why they're going to make it. Number 1, Baylor baseball is one of just 3 Power 5 teams to be top 2 in their conference in batting average and ERA. The Big 12 is the RPI number 2 conference in America, and Baylor is at the top of the conference in batting average and ERA. Baylor, Vanderbilt, and Nebraska are the only 3 teams in the Power 5 that hold that ranking right now. Baylor's the only team in the Big 12 that is top 2 in both batting average number 1, and ERA, trailing only number 3 Texas. Only team in the Big 12 that's top 2 in batting average and ERA. They're only trailing in ERA the number 3 team in the country, Texas, that is. They're the only team in the Big 12 with a batting average above 300. The team is 305. Again, Big 12, the second best RPI team in the RPI conference in the country, and Baylor's the top statistically. 14th nationally in batting average, 21st nationally in ERA. Top 25 in both of those categories. That's a team that you don't want in the NCAA tournament. 8 of top 10 hitters on the team are batting .290 or better. Only team to win a series at number 5 Texas Tech this season. First team since 2018 to do so. That's where you hang your hat if you're Baylor right now on the resume. You're in one of the best conferences in baseball. You're leading statistically. You're a top 25 team in multiple major statistics, and they're going to leave you out of the tournament? They outscored Tech in that series 26-8, only trailed for 1 inning on the weekend. They won 4 straight Big 12 series in the face of adversity, too. So you start 1-5. That may not bode well for you, but you respond to that with 4 straight series victories in the Big 12. Here's where this is where I hang my hat the most when it comes to NCAA tournament and why Baylor should make it in. This is what the committee has to factor in. Number 1 starting pitcher, your ace, Tyler Thomas, 5-2, 2.49 ERA. Missed 2 starts down the stretch due to COVID protocol against K-State, OU, and was out for the Big 12 tournament, would have pitched there. Starting first baseman Chase Wesner missed 7 games down the stretch due to COVID protocol, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and the first game of the Oklahoma series. Your number 3 guy, Blake Helton, out for the Big 12 championship with an arm injury. And his season has gone well, especially here as of late. He suffered that injury in the second inning of the season finale loss versus OU. If he doesn't get hurt, if Blake Helton doesn't get hurt, who knows what Baylor could have done in the series against OU to win it. Starting third baseman Esteban Cardozo-Oquendo has missed 9 games this season with injuries, including the last 5. Tyler Thomas, Blake Helton, Esteban Cardozo-Oquendo, and Chase Wesner. The 4 guys that have been hurt the last 8 games where Baylor has gone 2-6, all 4 would return for NCAA postseason. So Baylor that's not at full strength, not a postseason team. I agree with that. But Baylor at full strength, which is where they would be for a regional, makes it into the NCAA tournament. This is a Baylor team that deserves to be in the NCAA tournament. Baylor's tied for the second most all Big 12 first teamers, Luke Boyd, Andy Thomas, and Jared McKenzie. You got those 3 guys. You're telling me a team with those 3 guys is going to miss the playoffs. They're one of the youngest teams in the nation. 28 of the 43 players on the roster had never played in a Big 12 game. They set a new Big 12 record with runs in an inning. We'll have one of the top closers in the country in Luke Boyd, one of the best catchers in the country in Andy Thomas, one of the best outfielders in the country in Jared McKenzie. Boyd, a 1.11 ERA through 26 innings pitched, 40 Ks, 8 saves. Thomas, 342 average, 11 home runs, 59 RBI, started every game behind the plate this season. And Jared McKenzie, 380 average, 61 runs, 9 home runs, 39 RBI, projected first-round pick. You're going to leave those guys out of the NCAA tournament. You're going to leave those statistics out of the NCAA tournament. An electric team like Baylor that can score runs at a high level and will be healthy. That is the key. Baylor will be healthy going into the postseason. That's what makes this team different. Do I want the Baylor team that lost to Kansas State in the NCAA tournament? No, they don't deserve to be. But when your top 3 of your top players, 4 of your top players really, all go out with injury, and you lose a group of games after really good success, well, that checks out. That's usually what happens when guys go down. Now you've got them all back. Full-strength Baylor is an NCAA tournament team, and they will be at full strength no matter where they go. Now I want to get RPI. What needs to happen? Baylor is about as bubble as you can bubble right now. I'm looking at WarrenNolan.com for Baylor's live RPI. They started at RPI 40 yesterday, lost to Kansas State. Baylor dropped to RPI 43. Baylor is right in the same category RPI-wise as Virginia, who's at 41, Georgia Tech at 42, and again, Baylor at 43. So if you're watching right now, you can see these RPI rankings going through the 20s and into the 30s. The 30s is where I want to stop right here, right there in that 34 to 44 range, if we can, Armstrong, right there from VCU down to Baylor, if you'll scroll up through that. So looking at VCU there at 34, I've got them highlighted as a team that is on the bubble. You're, again, as the committee, you're telling me that VCU would get in as an at-large. They shouldn't. Here's what Baylor needs to happen, though. Baylor needs VCU, Indiana State, Liberty, Northeast. If you're watching, you see all these teams right here. Campbell. Baylor needs those teams right there. VCU, Indiana State, Liberty, Northeastern, Campbell, who are all still alive in their conference tournaments, to win their conference tournaments. The key for Baylor to make the postseason is that one bid leagues like the A-Sun, the Atlantic 10, the Big East, leagues that should only get one team in. Those squads that are RPI top 40 need to win their conference. If they win their conference, that means those leagues will still only get one team in. It doesn't bump a bubble team out of the conversation. It is imperative that those teams win their conference. If that happens, if things go as planned with teams winning their conference, one bid leagues stay one bid leagues, Baylor's looking good. Here's another stat I want to point to right here. Baylor being at RPI 43. There are 31 automatic bids across the country for NCAA postseason teams. 31 squads make it in, period. If you're looking right here, if you'll go back to the top, Armstrong, please, into the top 10 RPI-wise. I'm looking at Arizona, Arkansas, Texas Tech, Notre Dame right there in the top 10. If those teams all win their conference like they should, take Texas Tech, for example. If Tech wins the conference, that means a team like Kansas State won't make it into the postseason. And that's the best news for Baylor because it doesn't mean a bubble team gets bounced out of the conversation. So Baylor staying right where they are is so crucial. Texas Tech staying right where they are, winning the conference. TCU, one of those teams, is so crucial to keep that bubble clean for Baylor. On top of that, not only do you need one bid leagues to stay one bid leagues, you need some of these teams back around Baylor in that 35 to 45 range to start losing in their conference tournament. So there are question marks starting around 27. LSU's at 27. Folks don't know if they're going to make it into the NCAA tournament. That's still up in the air. If LSU has a question mark, that means anybody down from them can have a question mark on whether or not they'll make it in. Baylor could make it in over LSU this season just because of the way that things will shake out. I'm looking here at another couple of stats that differentiate Baylor from teams around them. Virginia's a squad right now that's on top of Notre Dame. If Virginia beats Notre Dame, they're probably in squarely because Notre Dame is in squarely. That hurts Baylor because Virginia is an RPI team that's close to the Bears. Baylor at 43, right there by Georgia Tech. Tech already has one win in the ACC tournament. They lost to Clemson, beat Louisville. If they lose again, Baylor could jump Georgia Tech. Campbell is also there. Georgia's there. UCLA's there. Here's the number that I like. Before I give you some bad news, I want to give you the number I like. There are 31 teams that are locked in because they win their conference tournament. If those 31 teams go as planned, and there are not upsets, or very few upsets, then there are those 33 teams that get at-large bids. Baylor would be, if those 31 all win as planned, Baylor would be the 27th best team RPI-wise to get an at-large bid. So of those 33 squads that are vying for at-large bids, Baylor's the 27th best one in the RPI. When you crunch all the numbers, take out the teams that should win their conference championships, dwindle that down out of the top 45, Baylor's number 27. 33 teams make it in. That bodes well for you. So now you're asking 6 conferences to just go as planned. Baylor can sneak in as the 64th best team. Here's what doesn't bode well for the Bears. I'm looking at RPI wins against Quad 1 teams. Baylor is 4-9 against teams in Quadrant 1. Here are some of the records of folks around them that are on the bubble. UCLA, 9-7. You've got Georgia, 8-15. Virginia, 11-17. Georgia Tech, 14-13. Baylor, 4-9. Florida State, 13-11. Those Quad 1 wins are going to help those squads. What bodes well for Baylor? Quad 3 and Quad 4, the games you're supposed to win. Baylor right now is 19-3. They're winning the games they're expected to win. That helps boost your resume at least. That's going to benefit Baylor going down the stretch. But the Quad 1 wins, the lack of Quad 1 wins, Baylor's strength of schedule, 47th in the nation compared to Georgia Tech, who is 26, Virginia, who's 23, Georgia, who is 7, UCLA, who's 41. Baylor at 47 will need to jump a couple of these teams to be squarely in the tournament. As I look at it right now, percent chance of Baylor baseball to make the NCAA tournament, Quad 1 wins taken into account, RPI taken into account, injuries taken into account, everything put together and tied into a bow, 30% chance. There's a 30% chance right now that Baylor baseball makes the postseason, goes to the NCAAs, and has a shot to make it to a super regional or into Omaha. Baylor can do it, but you got four guys who have been hurt that are back and that deserve to be in the playoffs. Because when this team's at full strength, they are a legitimate contender in the postseason to make some noise and make a splash. The numbers are there. The RPI is there. Baylor, 27 out of 33 at-large that are going to make it in. If the committee follows RPI closely, if the committee follows Baylor's injuries, and if the committee judges the Big 12 as the second best conference in baseball and gives the Big 12 the respect it deserves, Baylor is one of the last four teams to make it in the NCAA tournament, and Baylor is safely, squarely in. I don't care if you're playing in Fayetteville. I don't care if you're going up and playing in Vanderbilt, playing at Arizona. I don't care if you're playing in Knoxville, Starkville. Give Baylor somewhere to make some noise and make a splash, because they can do it at full strength. I'm Drake Toll, Armstrong Sims, Andrew Robertson, Marquise Cooley, and Jack Mckenzie. Baylor baseball. We'll see you in the postseason, folks. We'll see you in the postseason. When we come back, Jake Walsh, former Baylor baseball player, joins the show in studio. Don't go anywhere. This is Up Tempo.
A storybook season comes to a close for Baylor men's tennis as singles player Adrian Boitan fell in the national semifinal against the number 2 player in the nation. And the doubles pairing of Konstantin Franzen and Sven Law dropped a tight match to number 4 pairing from Tennessee. Boitan became the first player since 2005 to reach the national semifinal for Baylor, while Franzen ends his career as an All-American and all-time leader in career doubles wins at BU with 112. To baseball, the Bears led Kansas State 3-0 in the middle of an elimination game in the Big 12 tournament yesterday before losing their grip and falling 9-4 against the Wildcats. Baylor now awaits its postseason fate. The Bears are 31-20 but finished the season 2-6 in their last 8 without 3 key players. Each player would return from injury or COVID protocol to be ready for the postseason. In football, kickoff times were released for Baylor's opening 3 games this fall. The Bears open the season at Texas State on September 4th at 6 p.m., meet Texas Southern at McLean at 6 p.m. the following week, and face off against Kansas at 2:30 in the afternoon on week 3. All 3 games will be on ESPN+. On the track, Tuesday Tidwell and Alex Madlock earned spots at the Ncaa Championships with star performances yesterday in the West Regional in College Station. Akira Nugent and Aaliyah Miller also advanced to the quarterfinals of the Regional with a handful of other Baylor athletes. Follow Baylor Track on Twitter for more. And Baylor women's basketball will meet Michigan at the Basketball Hall of Fame Showcase alongside a game that takes place between UConn and Louisville. Baylor could also find out as early as today what sanctions will look like from the NCAA revolving around the sexual assault scandal of 2016. We'll keep you updated as news breaks. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm, welcome home.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Cynthia, Jesus died for our Cynthias.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Julia Roberts, Julia Rob.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Friday, everybody. Finally Friday today. Counting it down. Baylor baseball and selection show this weekend. Trying to find out. I mean, the numbers are there. It's not impossible that Baylor baseball makes it into the postseason. 30% chance. I give it a 30% chance right now on Baylor's odds of making it happen. I tell you what, it's going to be tight, and it's going to depend on a lot of these games today. Right now, Virginia on top of Notre Dame. If that holds, that is not good for Baylor. A couple of other these games we're watching as well. Liberty included. Oddly enough, I mean, you need like Liberty to beat Kennesaw State for Baylor to make it in. There's so many weird things that have to happen, but if they do, Baylor is in. Joining the show now to help us break it down and talk about this Baylor baseball season, former Baylor baseball player himself, Jake Walsh. Jake, in studio too, man. Thanks for coming on.
Dude, thanks for having me here. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, man, absolute pleasure to have you. Glad to have you in the stew, too. I first and foremost, you know, for you and your baseball journey, being at Baylor, being with the Baylor baseball program, kind of take me through what that looked like for you, kind of your career as a Bear.
So, Drake, I wasn't highly recruited coming out of high school. I was a very, low-key player. I wasn't what I would necessarily call the guy coming out of high school that everybody wants. UT's calling up, A&M, all these big schools. I really never had that experience like a lot of the guys here at Baylor did. And so I was originally going to go to a different school out of high school. I was going to go play, went on my official visit. And on my official visit, it turns out that I was not going to go play at that school. So I'm sitting my senior year. It's like, all right, what am I going to do now? I might as well just go to Baylor. Both my parents went to Baylor. I've been a Bear my whole life. Always wanted to play baseball at Baylor or just be a student at Baylor. And so I decided that that's the path I was going to take. And all of a sudden I get a phone call around July after I'd graduated high school from Coach Mike Taylor. And he calls me. He's like, hey, Jake, we had a catcher transfer. We would like to see you play. Just send me over your schedule. Like, okay, that's weird. So I sent Coach Taylor my schedule. I went down here, talked to them, did a little bit of a visit, and they ended up coming to me and were like, hey, we would love for you to come play here, but we don't have the scholarship money. We don't have the resources necessary to make it to where you're on scholarship and you have a guaranteed roster spot. But if you want it, you can come try your luck in the fall, see if you make the roster. I'm not telling you that it's super likely that you're going to make the roster or unlikely. And I was extremely fortunate that when I got there in the fall, I had some incredible people around me that really impacted my life to really channel some inner baseball that I didn't know I had. And I was fortunate enough to make the team my freshman year. Sophomore year came around, and it was the same deal. Like, hey, your spot's not guaranteed. That's just kind of how it works in this business. And I was like, you know what? I love this program. I love this school. I'm never leaving here. I would love to come out and try again. Came out my sophomore year, didn't go my way, and that's just kind of how it ended up. But it was an awesome experience.
Jake, for you, I know we've had the conversation that you got in freshman year, ended up playing in a game and having to do post-game media with it too. I mean, even your experience as a freshman getting to play for Baylor, what was that like?
It was the coolest experience I've probably ever had, especially having people like Shea Langoliers, Davis Wenzel, all these incredible people, not just baseball players, but just human beings in general, that were around me and lifting me up on the field and baseball-wise. And we had guys like Ryan Bertelsmann, Jacob Ashkinos that were just incredible leaders off the field as well, that were pushing me and so many other freshmen in the right direction. And so that was by far the best part to me. The baseball stuff, man, I don't look back on that year and a half that I was playing and think, oh my gosh, I missed playing baseball so much. That's not what I missed. I missed those guys being around me and being able to interact with them on a daily basis.
Jake, with that, I mean, going into this season, Baylor baseball, if there's anybody that knows this team well, it's you, and have been close to this team and seen what they can do. And I know the national media didn't respect Baylor coming in. The conference didn't expect Baylor to be where they were coming in. I mean, no one thought Baylor would even be on the bubble. They thought Baylor would be squarely out and one of the worst teams, the second worst team in the Big 12. This, to me, this season itself comes as a surprise with the full body of work what Baylor's been able to put together.
I'm going to be honest with you, Drake. I wasn't surprised. They're deep. And I think Coach Rod has mentioned that to you in the past, that they have so many layers of that team, that their second baseman, the backup second baseman is Ricky Martinez, my roommate, who went off in the Shriners Classic last year, had a phenomenal little stint during the COVID year, and he didn't even really play. So that just, to me, shows me how good these guys actually were. And Rod does a phenomenal job bringing these guys in, developing them, getting them in the right path. And they did a really good job, especially for a young team, especially in the lineup.
Jake, for you from a player's perspective too, with this roster that we've seen so far this year, one of the crazy things to me is the old pitching staff, a lot of guys with a ton of experience. Most of your bats are younger or at least not as experienced as Baylor Bears. I mean, i.e. Jared McKenzie, Trey Richardson, that are just exploding this season, who played in the Big 12 for the first time this year. What is that dynamic? I mean, how do you balance a dynamic in a baseball locker room between the old guys and the young guys?
You know, there's some really, really good leaders on that team. They have a lot of guys that have been here now 5 years that were juniors when I was a freshman. And they were leaders when they were juniors, you know? And now I can only imagine, I'm not in the locker room. I don't see what they're like on a daily basis in that locker room anymore. But I know even seeing those guys as juniors in college, a lot of them were so mature that they just kind of took a lot of these guys under their wing and just go, hey, this is how I've done it. I'm not saying this is the perfect recipe, but I've done it this way. This is how you show up to the field. This is how you prepare. And maybe the chips fall in your favor or maybe they don't, but you're at least going to take the preparation necessary to be successful. And I think those guys have done a good job with it.
When you've got a guy, too, in Luke Boyd for you as a catcher, I mean, he vied for Big 12 Pitcher of the Year. The guy was one of the best closers in the entire league, first team all Big 12. I don't know if there are enough superlatives to talk about Luke Boyd. I mean, when you're anchoring your bullpen with that's just tough to beat.
No, his slider, it might be the best pitch I've ever caught in my entire life. I remember my freshman year, I got in the box, and I was lost, man. I had no idea what was going on. I had never seen pitching of that caliber in my entire life. And I remember I got in the box, and I'm thinking, okay, little freshman me, just throw me a fastball. Just give me like a nice fastball to hit. That's all I need. You're still going to blow it by me, but at least just give me a fighting chance. He snaps off these 3 incredibly disgusting breaking ball sliders that look like they're coming right at my rib cage and somehow hit the black on the outside corner of the plate. And I look back, I think Shea was catching at the time. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This isn't even fair. And he's just really captured that role in an incredible way and just ran with it. And he's done a phenomenal job with it.
On the other side of that, so you've got a guy in Luke Boyd that bolsters your bullpen. And when you look at the batting lineup, you've got Jared Mckenzie, who every time he steps to the plate, he's just almost an automatic hit at this point and has such power for a guy that didn't hit one in last year's shortened season. I mean, when you've got Jared Mckenzie in your lineup, that's just scary in itself.
It is scary. Jared is probably one of the best pure hitters in the country. And I don't think anybody's ever going to dispute that. That guy has natural abilities that I just can't even fathom. His ability to see a ball coming out of a pitcher's hand and just know where it's going to be. Because I guess it was my sophomore year when I was playing with Jared, I was like 0 for 5. I wasn't sniffing a hit, had no idea what was going on. But Jared, first day of inter squads, was 5 for 5 of this freshman, probably hit 2 or 3 doubles. I was like, this kid's got it figured out. What? So I go up to Jared. I'm like, Jared, what's your approach? Because obviously mine's not working. So what is your approach? He goes, I see the ball and I hit it. And I was like, that's remarkable to me, that you see the ball and you just hit it. And of course, that's not really what it goes down to. He does have an approach. He does all these things. But when he's trying to calm himself down, see the ball, hit the ball. And he is phenomenal at it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of baseball players, and Coach Rod has said this, a lot of the guys overthink the game of baseball. But you get a Jared Mckenzie, when you make it simple, that's when the game kind of comes to you. Along with that, Jake, early in the season, you and I talked after Baylor started this season really poorly at 2-5 with losses at UTRGV and the loss in Frisco, and it didn't look like Baylor had really a fighter's chance to pick this thing back up. But I know you had said at the time too that like, hey, well, just wait. Then they rattle off a double-digit game win streak. They go into Big 12 play and win 4 straight Big 12 conference series. What is it that makes this team good?
I believe that a lot of it stems from the weekend rotation. I think a lot of it has to do with Tyler Thomas. Tyler Thomas is one of my best friends and I'm super close with him. And he's always had the tools, always. I think anybody that's watched him play could tell you, yeah, he's going to be good one day. It's going to be if he figures it out, if he can throw strikes, if he can get in the zone. And the fact that he stepped up this weekend and did his job, give them a chance to win every Friday night, that was the difference maker, was stepping into that Friday night role, knowing, all right, we've got a fighting chance to take this Friday game and project us into Saturday with Blake Helton or Hayden Kettler, and both of them are just dogs and always want to win, ultra competitive, and have done it over and over again, and they have stepped into those roles extremely well as well.
So you got a guy, too, in Cam Kalin. I know you didn't get to play with Cam, but now true freshman pitcher who has gone out there against Texas Tech. He's faced against Kansas State and Jordan Wicks, who's the best pitcher, I believe, in the conference. From your perspective, for a guy like that, a freshman, how difficult, you already touched on it, how difficult is it to step into Baylor as a freshman and compete right away, especially in Big 12 play?
I will never be able to fathom it because I didn't do it. I was on the bench. I never really played. I had all of 1 at-bat and 1 inning to my name in my college career. And when I see guys like Cam go out there, and I go, whenever I get the chance, I love to watch my buddies play and get to see how they're doing. And every once in a while, I've gotten to watch Cam play. And I'm like, how on earth is this kid 18, 19 years old and just looks so calm and cool and doesn't act like it's getting to him? Because I remember the first time I went into a game, I couldn't feel my legs. I truly did not feel anything from head to toe. It was just so nervous, and he just captures it, and he's like, all right, this is how it's going to be. I'm going to go handle my stuff, and just goes about his business and does a very, very good job doing it.
Jake, on that note, so you got guys like Cam Cayley, who threw really well to end the season, kind of struggled a bit against Texas Tech, but, I mean, who wouldn't? It's a top 5 team in the country. You're a true freshman, first ever Big 12 tournament. And we've already talked about Jared Mckenzie and Trey Richardson, and the list goes on to those guys, the Luke Boyds and Tyler Thomas, of folks that have bolstered this roster and this lineup. How do you leave that list of guys out of the postseason?
We were chatting about this right before I came on. I don't know. I don't know how guys like Tyler and Luke and all these other guys, I don't know on their senior year, you can leave that out, especially the fact that Blake and Tyler weren't in the Big 12 tournament, weren't pitching, because Tyler would have probably gone that first game against Texas Tech, and Blake would have gone game 2 against whoever they would have played if they had beaten Texas Tech or not. And that's a completely different ballgame. It is, that changes the whole dynamic of this. And if they had just won a couple of games in the Big 12 tournament, I don't think we're discussing if they get in or not. I think if they win 2 games, I think it's done deal. They're going to a regional. We'll see in a couple of weeks. And the fact that that's going to play a factor, that they were just so unfortunate that Tyler and Blake weren't able to pitch, I think that they would be really ignorant to not look at that and factor that heavily, especially with the stat lines and how well they've done and what they've done for this program this year.
When you're looking from your unique perspective on this season as a whole and dissecting where Baylor baseball is right now, full body of work from 2021, what is the case that you make that says, okay, hey, I point here, here, and here, Baylor should make the postseason?
Texas Tech. That weekend that they came back from Texas Tech and they went to Lubbock, which is the one. I've never been to Lubbock. I didn't travel that weekend my freshman year when they went out there. But I hear the stories that might be the hardest place to play baseball in the Big 12. And the fact that they were able to take 2 or 3 from them in those 2 games, handle them well, especially when you're facing guys like Micah Dallas, Cole Stillwell, those guys over at Texas Tech who are phenomenal baseball players, and handle them fairly easily on 2 separate occasions. That should bolster to everybody. That team deserves to be on the number 5 team in the country. Yeah. Nobody's done that in 3 years. I think it's 2018, correct me if I'm wrong, but nobody's gone into Lubbock and done that. And if they don't take that into account and go, what happens if we send them to a regional in Arkansas, Vanderbilt? Nobody in their right mind would think that little Baylor Bears are going to go in there and beat them. I didn't think that they were going to go into Lubbock and beat them. No chance. I didn't think that was going to happen. And you know what? They did it. And I hope that they would see, okay, I didn't think that was going to happen. What if we put them in a regional and they do it again? You know, they catch lightning in a bottle. They get hot at the right time. They're going to be able to beat anybody.
With that, moving into the postseason, Jake, when you look at this team, what is the key for Baylor baseball this season to winning in the postseason? What is going to be that magic little twist that makes Baylor a contender or someone that ends up being it would be a Cinderella run for them to make it out of a regional?
I would probably say that the majority of it's going to come from pitching, right? A lot of it's going to come from pitching. A lot of it is, can Blake and Tyler and Hayden really go out there and give you 5-6 strong innings, give you a chance to win? And at the end of it, that back end of the bullpen, it can't just be Luke Boyd, you know, and all of those guys in that bullpen are phenomenal pitchers. Every single one of them, top to bottom, they're really, really good pitchers. But they've just gotten a little unfortunate on some of the circumstances, like at Kansas State. Like the fact that you're able to take Jimmy Winston and take him out of a starter role from last year and put him in the bullpen, that is just such an incredible factor for that bullpen, to have Jimmy leading the younger guys in that bullpen. And Jimmy comes in and gives you 3, 4, 5 innings, finishes out those games and gives you a chance to win. I think a lot of it's going to come from him, personally, is Jimmy Winston being able to lead the younger guys, calm them down in a regional, make sure that they're aware, hey, it's okay, we've done this before, this is how it works. He's been to 3 regionals already in his career, and if he can step up and compete and do it again. So I'd say that Jimmy probably the main factor.
Well, Jake, I'm looking at it right now, and obviously the bullpen has been a place where Baylor has struggled at times this year. That's been one of the bigger issues. When you get a solid start from a guy like Cam Cayley or Tyler Thomas, Blake Helton, things have fallen apart at times in the bullpen. But I'm looking right now, and according to D1 Baseball, Baylor is right there on the bubble, just out of the NCAA tournament moving forward. So hopefully Baylor has that problem where they end up having to go and face somebody big in the NCAA tournament and get their shot, whether it be at this point Arkansas or Vanderbilt. Beggars can't be choosers, but Baylor will do anything they can to make it in, and hopefully that's the case moving forward. But for you, just spinning back around personally and just your time with the baseball program, what is it, Jake? I mean, I know you had mentioned exploring the game of baseball. You love the game of baseball. And so to play at Baylor, to no longer have that opportunity to play, why stay at Baylor and not take your talent somewhere else and continue to play?
I thought about it. I thought about it for a very long time. And a lot of guys, when they go play a sport in college, that is their life. That is it. Your friends are centered around that team. Your whole life is centered around that team. You have people basically making your daily schedule for you. And so when you lose that, you are basically missing something. It's like your first bad heartbreak, first bad breakup on the planet, because you just feel like you're missing something in you. And so that's why you see guys just bounce from team to team, to school. And I told myself going into college, I never wanted to be the guy bouncing from school to school. I wanted to find my school and do it. But whenever chips didn't fall my way my sophomore year, I was like, you know what? I'm not that bad. I can go play somewhere. Somebody will give me an opportunity. And so I did, in fact, enter the portal, had the opportunity to go play at other places, and it ended up being a conversation with my father of, do you really want to leave this incredible place that you have found so many incredible people, your friends, that team? You're really just going to get up and leave? And I was full-heartedly, yes, I'm out. I'm going. I want to go play. It was no hard feelings. Loved the program, loved the guys, but I missed playing baseball. And the main thing that came back to me was, this place has been so good to me. The people here have been so good to me. I have yet to meet, there's just such a handful of people that aren't good people on Baylor's campus. Everybody's just so nice, so welcoming. And I was like, why would I screw up a good thing? Why would I leave and roll the dice to see if that makes me any more happy? No, I'm plenty happy here. And this place is great, and I've gotten to experience both sides of college, got to rush fraternity, got to join other organizations, do all these different things, and got to see what both sides of college were like. And I was just so grateful that I had that opportunity to do both.
Jake, with that, when it comes to Baylor baseball and your time with the program, what will you take away that you'll cherish? I mean, the things you'll tell your son, your grandson about your time as a Baylor Bear.
Probably to me, my favorite things on the planet with those guys were the bus rides. The bus rides, even when we lost, even when we lost and you had a horrible bus ride back from wherever you were coming from, you still managed to make it fun. You still managed to spend so much time with those guys and just enjoy their presence at all times that it just became second nature. And I took it a little for granted. And whenever I stopped playing, I realized, oh my gosh, these guys were phenomenal. I'd never think about the times of stepping onto the field and playing. Sure, I enjoyed doing that. That was like my happy place. But all the good memories are all stem from locker room, the buses, the hotels. Even when we lost in the UCLA regional my freshman year when we were out there, I wasn't even on the travel roster, but they allowed me to go out there and join them for the regional. And when we lost, Shea and Davis had to go back to wherever, to Waco for a draft party because they were about to go in the first round of the MLB draft, and the rest of us stayed back. And that night, we all just hung around, laughed at this nice hotel in downtown LA and told hilarious stories, and just made me realize how grateful I was for the people that Rod brought into that program and I got to surround myself with.
Well, Jake, before we get to our Bear Games question today, you mentioned Rod and how you guys still have a close relationship now, even apart from the baseball program. What does Rod A mean to you, and what does he mean to Baylor baseball now, solidifying his culture, his legacy as a Bear?
I will forever be grateful to Coach Rodriguez. Of course, I wish that I could have continued playing, right? Everybody that's in the program wants to be the guy. You want to be the first team all conference. You want to do all these things. But that just wasn't me. And I knew that, and I was okay with that. But I will just forever be grateful to him for allowing me the opportunity. Just saying, hey, I'll give you a shot. And if you work hard enough, I'll keep you around. And I knew I wasn't terribly naturally gifted at baseball, but I worked really hard, and he rewarded me for that. And I will always be grateful that it wasn't all about my baseball ability, that he looked past that a little bit and allowed me to hang around a little bit more, because I think we had a mutual respect that I knew my place, I knew what I was, and he did as well, and still allowed me to hang out, be there, get to be on the roster, and just work my butt off each day. So that was awesome. And what Rod's done for this program at Baylor, I think he's done a phenomenal job bringing them back after the Steve Smith era, because we were at such a top, and then it started kind of trickling down by the time that Rod got here. And as soon as he got here, it was totally gut this whole system, completely revamping this whole thing. And he just did a phenomenal job to take us from here, and just each year, one year after another, little incremental boost to this program to get this program to where hopefully in 20 years, when I have kids and I'm sending my kids to Baylor, that they're a powerhouse. They are the team. They're going to the College World Series. They're doing all these things. I would love to see that, and he's doing a good job of trying to get them there.
Well, Jake, our Bear Games question of the day today, really quickly before we get you out of here. This one, I'm going to change ours a little bit today to one we had earlier this week. And that's if you could pick one major league ballpark that Baylor baseball could play a 3-game series in against another college team, which ballpark, which college team?
I think that I would pick the Cardinals Stadium down there. I'm a big Rangers fan. I went down to Game 6 of the World Series with the Nelson Cruz and David Freese debacle with my family. Yeah. And I would love to get to step foot on that field and maybe win a game on that field. That would be really, really great. And a team that I always wanted to play whenever I was coming through, I always wanted to play Ole Miss, because Ole Miss is kind of known as a powerhouse. They always have been. They are just these big, bad hitters, and they dominate all the time. And I thought it would always be really fun to play against Ole Miss.
The swagger. I love it. Jake, going to Busch Stadium against Ole Miss, playing a 3-game series. I want to thank you for coming in today, giving your perspective as a Baylor Bear and somebody that follows this team closely. And look, they're right there on the cusp, 30% chance. If they find a way to sneak in because some things go their way around the nation, we'll bring you back. I haven't even asked you yet, but we're bringing you back. So.
Awesome. Sounds good. Drake, thanks so much for having me, man.
Absolutely. Absolute pleasure, Jake. Again, that was Jake Walsh, Drake Toll, alongside Armstrong Sims, Andrew Robertson, Marquise Cooley, and Jack Mckenzie. When we come back, Jay Gobel, the head coach of the Baylor women's golf team, joins the show to recap their season that finished up just this past weekend. Don't go anywhere. This is Up Tempo.
A storybook season comes to a close for Baylor men's tennis as singles player Adrian Boitan fell in the national semifinal against the number 2 player in the nation. In the doubles pairing of Konstantin Franzen and Sven Law dropped a tight match to number 4 pairing from Tennessee. Boitan became the first player since 2005 to reach the national semifinal for Baylor, while Franzen ends his career as an All-American and all-time leader in career doubles wins at BU with 112. To baseball, the Bears led Kansas State 3-0 in the middle of an elimination game in the Big 12 tournament yesterday before losing their grip and falling 9-4 against the Wildcats. Baylor now awaits its postseason fate. The Bears are 31-20 but finished the season 2-6 in their last 8 without 3 key players. Each player would return from injury or COVID protocol to be ready for the postseason. In football, kickoff times were released for Baylor's opening 3 games this fall. The Bears open the season at Texas State on September 4th at 6 p.m., meet Texas Southern at McLean at 6 p.m. the following week, and face off against Kansas at 2:30 in the afternoon on week 3. All 3 games will be on ESPN+. On the track, Tuesday Tidwell and Alex Madlock earned spots at the Ncaa Championships with star performances yesterday in the West Regional and College Station. Akira Nugent and Aaliyah Miller also advanced to the quarterfinals of the Regional with a handful of other Baylor athletes. Follow Baylor Track on Twitter for more. And Baylor women's basketball will meet Michigan at the Basketball Hall of Fame Showcase alongside a game that takes place between UConn and Louisville. Baylor could also find out as early as today what sanctions will look like from the Ncaa revolving around the sexual assault scandal of 2016. We'll keep you updated as news breaks. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Uptempo.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Ncaa. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more. With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Ncaa Group Insurance Agency. With the Ncaa Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Ncaa Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Ncaa Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbets, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Welcome back to Uptempo on SicEm365 Radio.
No capes. Do you remember Thunderhead? Tall, storm powers. Nice man. Good together.
Listen. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Diner guy, snag on takeoff. Splashdown, sucked into a vortex. No kicks.
Here's Drake Toll and Armstrong Sims.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den today. Happy Friday, everybody. The end of the week rolling around. Finally Friday, folks. Talking Baylor baseball today. We've had a lot of recaps in track, women's basketball schedule release. Football has their times coming up next season. And this guy and his women's golf team, another top 15 finish in the country. Coach Jay Gobel joining the show today. Coach, thanks for coming on with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I love the you got like the hat tan, kind of the sunglasses tan going on too. It's very golf of you.
Yeah, well, Scottsdale, Arizona is a little bit sunny, and yes, so I do have it going on right now.
He said, and yes. I love that. I love it. Well, tell me, Coach, another successful season for your team. I know people take it for granted so much, the success of programs. We pointed to softball, too. They've made it to 14 NCAA tournaments in the last 19 years. And at this point, people take so much for granted, the wins that Baylor program has across the board. And your team is a part of that, just being so automatic every year that people expect this kind of success from you, and you guys did it again with a top 15 finish. Really, how do you wrap all this season up into a bow?
Well, I think this has been a great season. It's been a lot of fun to coach the group that I had. We did have 3 freshmen that traveled the entire year with us, which was fantastic and again bodes well for our future and future teams moving forward. But I think the big thing with our team this year is we had a lot of enthusiasm to play with 2020 being the way that it was, and COVID, and them not having an opportunity to play a lot of golf last summer. They came into the year excited at the opportunity to compete, excited to be back at Baylor, and we had a packed schedule for them, and we played a ton of golf this year. And again, I think that they were just excited at that opportunity. I would say that moving forward too, again, with 3 freshmen that were in the lineup, Gerline Kaur going to be back next year. I'm going to watch her play in the U.S. Open next week. We're going to have an awesome team moving forward as well.
Coach, I wanted to go a different direction here in the next question, but you mentioned the name that I was going to get to pretty quickly. That's Gerline Kaur, and just her complete body of work across the sport. She's just so automatic. Talk about really her as an athlete, what she does to boost your program.
Well, Gerline is, first and foremost, she's a great person and a great teammate, but man, she's competitive, and she, I tell people this all the time. She sets really lofty goals, and she's one of the few people in my life that I've met that, man, she seems to find a way to reach all those goals every time she sets them. So one of the big things for her this year was the U.S. Open, because back in December, the delayed U.S. Open was at Champions in Houston, where she plays a lot of golf, and she was, I would say, a little disappointed in the opportunity not to be able to compete at Champions. But then, again, at the Golf Club of Houston, where we played so well this semester, she qualified for the U.S. Open at Olympic Club next week, which is, I would say an upgrade from playing down in Houston. I mean, Olympic Club has hosted many U.S. Opens and had many great winners. And, I think that it's going to be a really cool week for her. So I'm excited to get out there and watch her. And again, I'm just going out to support her because she really has done a ton for our program. I don't know exactly where she stands, but it's got to be probably one of the best scoring averages in school history. And, she goes out and really, year in, year out, tournament in, tournament out, she plays great.
Coach, you talked about her success. I mean, 2-time All-American and playing in Augusta, everything that comes with what she's been able to do at Baylor and the legacy that she has already left. When you have a player like that in your program and you sit down with a recruit, how much does that help you to say, hey, here is what our golf program produces. Here's what we're able to put out there athlete-wise to contend for the top spots in the country, not just as a team, but individually?
Yeah, I think we've been really lucky over the years to have a good track record of players that have developed and played better and got better since they've been at Baylor. Gerline Kaur comes to mind, Haley Davis, one of the best players to ever play here. We've had Laura Lenardi, who improved a ton while she's here. In our lineup right now, we have Hannah Card, who, came to Baylor as a 2000th ranked player in the world, who's currently in the top 400. So, again, I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of our team and what they do to get here and work hard. But, I really, my assistant coach and I, Carly, we try to recruit players that are motivated to do well at everything they do. So, I'm really proud of what we've built here and the fact that they come in and, work hard at school and work hard at golf. And we set really lofty goals ourselves. And, man, they do everything they can to work hard to achieve those. And it's been a fun 10 years. I can't believe it's been 10 already.
Coach, I was going to go a bit off the script. I am going to go a bit off the script here. I was going to stick right to your season this past year, but I do want to know for you, from a coaching standpoint and being at Baylor, because I know it's different at Baylor. When you recruit, is it more finding a culture fit and someone who has the right mindset, or is it finding an athlete that's great at your sport?
Obviously you need players that are great at their sport, but I would say that, yes, we're trying to find players that fit in with our culture, fit in with our beliefs. And it's I would say that whole recruiting philosophy of mine has developed over the last 10 years, but being a coach here for 10 years now, I'm very well versed on the player, the kind of person, the kind of teammate we're looking for. And I feel like we have it rolling a little bit right now because I'm excited about the group we have coming in next year, which, I think is only going to build on this awesome foundation we have right now. And I told my players when we got back from Greyhawk, I said, we have the advantage on any other team coming back here next year because we've seen this place. We're going to have another competition here next year, actually the next 2 years. And, we're going to bring back 4 of the 5 next year. So the majority of the players that were on our team in Scottsdale last week will be back. But I think that, Baylor's been great. And with our facilities that we have now and the membership at Ridgewood Country Club and, the awesome school that Baylor, the awesome education that Baylor has to offer, it's not that tough of a sell. I think 10 years ago it was a much tougher sell than it is now.
Coach, with that this season, I know you joined the afternoon show here at the station just a couple of weeks ago to talk about the Baton Rouge Regional and the situation there, kind of with more of a 30,000-foot view and a couple of weeks removed from that. What is your assessment as we go into more of an in-depth look at this last season, your assessment of what took place there in Baton Rouge?
Well, I think personally for our team, in my opinion, it actually hurt us at the national championship because we had been 5 weeks removed from a competitive golf tournament. And that's too much time to be away from competitive golf to be completely sharp at nationals. And I think that it showed in our first round. I think that, if you take our last 3 rounds combined, we played as good as any team out there, but that first round, really, we were trying to get our feet under us and played a little bit sloppy, to be honest with you. And I think that if we would have got those reps in Baton Rouge, I think that we would have qualified still and we would have got to the national championship maybe a little more competitively ready. And that's the unfortunate thing that happened. But, I'm 100% convinced that the committee did the right thing. The golf course was not playable, no matter what the wording, I guess the loose interpretation of playable, but the golf course was not playable. And they made the right decision. And thankfully we got to go to nationals because, again, our team deserved that. We were always in the top 10 in the country all year. We won 6 times. We played 35 competitive rounds of golf during the year. And I think that for it all to boil down to a 18-hole shootout on a compromised golf course would have been a bad deal.
Coach, I do want to, for the listeners at home, let you off the hook here and say it was Bring Your Dog to Work Day in the studio, and that's Armstrong Schnauzers in the back. Armstrong, if you'll go, I'm sorry about that, Coach. We apologize for the inconvenience there. Armstrong. But for you, going into that championship, I want to know that first round for you guys, tied for 22nd place. You go 20 over par, which was uncharacteristic for your team. You talked about the layoff going into that. When you guys got back to the hotel that night, night, knowing that you're 14 spots out of that top 8 and had an uphill battle to go for the next couple of days, what was the message at 20 over after day one?
The championship itself felt a lot like 2018, where we were also about 21st or second place after the first round. And I kind of gave a similar message to what I did in 2018, where we ended up finishing 8th, is that, we just need to creep up this leaderboard. We just need to control the things we can control and play our game. Seen throughout the year, like our scoring average in tournaments for the year was under par. So I knew that if we could go shoot even par, better, a couple over, that we would move up that leaderboard a lot. So, I was just really, I wasn't concerned. I actually, felt that we could even get into the top 8. And then looking back, we played with Auburn in the last round, and they shot 10 under par the last round to make it to the top 8 to make match play. And, I really felt like we could do that. I felt like we could go out there and shoot a 5 to 10 under par round. And, I think that experience at the national championship is going to bode well for us in the future. Unfortunately, that last day we weren't able to quite get it going like that. But as you can see, moving forward, our rounds got better every day. And as a coach, that makes me feel good. And again, I think that we're going to own that place next year.
Coach, I was following the tournament, and I had number 1 South Carolina was on the hook for most of that championship play to try to vie for that field of 8. And I'm looking at it. We were talking in the studio just about the volatility of golf in itself, to try to place in that top 8, and how whether it be the men's or women's side, it's almost anybody's game, more so than I would say, almost any other sport. What is that? I mean, the volatility of the sport in general, almost anybody's game when it comes to postseason.
Well, I think over the last 10 to 15 years, the parity in women's golf is unreal. Like, the amount of teams that can go out there and shoot a good round or play a good tournament is night and day different than it was 10 years ago when I got to Baylor. And, I just think that the conditions played a little bit of a part in that. I think that we had probably the tougher draw in the first round. We had 20-mile-an-hour winds on the first day, and I'm not using that as an excuse, but I know that, tough conditions can pull you out of your game, especially on a tough golf course. It can kind of compound mistakes and make it a little bit more difficult to play. But I do also believe that nerves come into that, and that's where a little bit of, again, we didn't play a competitive round for 35 days. So, you kind of got to get that out of your system sometimes. And this means a lot. It means a lot to the players. It means a lot to the coaches and the family of the player and the school. And, big time golf like that, I think can wear on some people's nerves. But my team did a great job out there again. I feel like playing a poor first round and then coming back to get within 9 shots of making match play. Nobody would have guessed that after the first round, and it just goes to the competitiveness and the strong will and strong mind of my players. And again, it's golf is a tough sport. You can go out and shoot a great round today, and tomorrow's a different day sometimes. But yeah, I think that again, moving forward, we're going to be ready for this next year.
Coach, I'm doing a little reading up here on Elodie Chapelet and what she's meant to your program and been for you as a transfer from Lamar, and someone that really anchored your team again this year. Having her in that lineup, I mean, as I see it, COVID regulations eligibility-wise, was this her last season?
Yeah, so this was her 6th year in college and her last season. She's got a master's degree now from Baylor, so it's been a good career for Elodie. And man, I told her, I talked to her yesterday. She's flying back home to France tomorrow, but the amount of that she means to Baylor and that she chose to come here and play, and she's one that I'll always remember for just leaving it all out on the golf course. Extremely talented, extremely driven to also achieve her goals. And she can flat out play. I mean, I looked at her record yesterday. I think she finished top 20 16 times in 2 years at Baylor. And that's a pretty unbelievable stat when you come down to, we only play 11 tournaments a year. So she's been pretty dominant on the golf course, but again, she wants to play professional golf for a living. And I think that, we gave her a good stepping stone to play in some great events and get great competition and get ready for life after college. And she's got a wonderful Baylor degree to fall back on if that doesn't work out. But my expectation is that LOD is going to be playing golf for a living for a long time.
Well, Coach, I know that all the COVID regulations for us in the studio, like we've had baseball players on this show that are almost 30 now because of all the extra years that people get and the loophole year. And so, again, what she's meant to your program, obviously, just looking down the stats here, like you said, 16 times placed in the top 20 has been unbelievable. And now you lose her, but you've got so much coming back. I mean, 5 of your 9 were freshmen this past season. When it comes to the experience you're regaining and an incoming class, really with that many roster spots you already know are full, what does the incoming class look like for you, and what is next year's kind of outlook already?
So next year's outlook, I think, is great. We have Antonia Matt from Chile coming to play. She's the top-rated player in South America. She brings a wealth of experience in international tournaments. My anticipation is she's going to be competing for one of those top 5 spots day one. We have Bai Mai Sima coming from Thailand. She's also one of the better players in her country. She's been on our radar and been actually committed to Baylor for quite a while now. So we're excited to finally see her get here onto campus. And then we have Mattingly Palmer all the way from Georgetown coming in, who, just had a top 5 finish at the state championship down in Austin. And she's a player that I see developing into, someone that can count in our lineup. And, again, we're losing LOD out of the top 5 and gaining 3 players that are going to compete for those spots. I feel really confident that the future's bright. And, something really cool that we have coming next year too is I believe 3 of our 9 tournaments regular season are going to be televised on the Golf Channel. So the Golf Channel has made a real big commitment to college golf, and especially even women's college golf, which we're excited about and think that these, young women are really deserving to get the spotlight. And I hope to take them to some of these events and get on some primetime television next year.
Coach, we track planes and phone calls and everything else for recruiting, and you've mentioned Thailand, you've got South America, and then Georgetown, Texas. Help me nail down your pipeline. It's just like a big Bermuda Triangle from Vancouver all the way to about South Africa and then kind of that Antarctica. Like, where do you make your bed recruiting-wise? Come on.
Well, again, my associate head coach, Carly, she, I think in 2019, she went to 13 countries. So we're not trying to get the best player from down the street. We're trying to get the best player that we can recruit from around the world. So we're not scared to hop on an airplane, and we're not scared to go find the best player we can. And, again, with Antonia and Bai Mai, 2 incredible people, 2 incredibly driven players that want to play professional golf for a living, but are also excited about getting a great degree here at Baylor. So, we're not discriminating here at Baylor. We'll go find them from anywhere if they want to come play golf here.
Coach, you got to get Dave Aranda on the horn. I know I'm sure him and his staff, they offered a guy from Connecticut, and that was all the rave, how far away that is. You got Thailand and Chile coming in next year. I do, everything put together, a decade in now at Baylor for you, Coach, and what you've built. Prior to coming here, the school had never had an All-American, and now here you are, 4 out of the last 6 years, top 15 in the nation. You talked about 2018 making that field of 8 right on the cusp. Right at the cut, just all of it put together for you. When you think about this 10 years, what has it meant?
This last 10 years has been fantastic. I have to say, when I first got here, I felt like it was going to be a big challenge. We didn't have the resources that we have now. We didn't have the facilities we have now. We didn't have the support we have now. And I can truly say now to any recruit that walks on campus, we have everything you need to not only become the best student athlete you can, but the best person you can. I think the character development stuff that we have at Baylor is the best in the country. I think that the academic support we have is second to none. And it's just, again, we're trying to create good people to go out in the community and be successful at whatever they do. And I really feel that, again, now Baylor doesn't really have a need. When I got here, we had lots of needs to get better, and we have all those resources now. So when I have a top rated player in South America come up and look at Baylor, they're blown away because they have everything they need here to succeed. And I would say that wasn't exactly the case 10 years ago, but it sure is the case now.
Wow. Well, Coach, congratulations on decade number 1 in the books. You go 2 more. You get I think it's a green jacket is the if you go 30. But I do want to know, being from North Carolina, I'm looking right here. So Charlotte guy, have you discussed that with the new men's tennis coach, Michael Woodson, yet, who is also a North Carolina guy?
You know what? I did not know he was a North Carolina guy. Absolutely not. I have been texting with him. I mean, it was awesome what they did this year, and his first year as head coach. I mean, man, it was an amazing run. And they played against the Gators a couple weeks ago and gave them a good match. And again, Baylor breeds success, and I'm happy for him and his program. And I think that also many years to come of success for him.
Well, Coach, I know you're familiar with the Gators, and just right there for Michael Woodson and the boys. Tell you, you've got your pipeline South America to Europe. Baylor Athletics has its pipeline in North Carolina. They're just picking up the head coaches everywhere they can get them from the Tar Heel State. But before we get you out of here, we had a Bear Games question today that kind of revolved around baseball, with those guys being right on the cusp of the NCAA tournament. But I want to flip it to you and change it a little bit for golf. If you could pick one golf course in the nation for your team to go play against 3 other schools, you guys just get a little 4-team, we'll go out and just have some fun for a weekend. Which 3 other schools are you having join you, and at which golf course? Anywhere. You could go to Augusta if you want.
Well, the funny thing is this year, I think we're about 65 under par at Golf Club of Houston. So I feel like, if we want a chance to beat anybody, we better go there probably. So, and I would love to play against Stanford, Duke, and Arizona State. I think that those have historically been the best, probably 3 teams over the last 20, 30 years in women's golf. And, knowing how well we play that golf course, I think we might dominate them all.
I love it. Hey, look, for travel purposes too, the team ops guy loves the answer as well. We're only going to Houston, baby. We're not going anywhere too crazy. Coach, I want to thank you for coming on with us and giving us your perspective on this last season and moving forward. Always a pleasure to have you on, and we'll make any excuse we can to do it again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and have a great summer, everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach Gobel. Again, Jay Gobel from Baylor Women's Golf, the head coach who took his team for the 4th time in the last 6 years to a top 15 finish in the NCAA tournament. I'm Drake Toll. We got Armstrong Sims, Andrew Robertson, Marquise Cooley, Jack Mckenzie. When we come back, Richard Cunningham joins the show. Talk to us about Baylor baseball this season. He's been on plenty of broadcasts with Derek Smith on the radio. He's gotten to see these guys up close and personal as a very recent alumni of this program. Going to tell us why Baylor should make it into the NCAA tournament. We're making a case for you, Baylor baseball. Don't let us down. This is Up Tempo.
A storybook season comes to a close for Baylor men's tennis as singles player Adrian Boitan fell in the national semifinal against the number 2 player in the nation. And the doubles pairing of Konstantin Franzen and Sven Law dropped a tight match to number 4 pairing from Tennessee. Boitan became the first player since 2005 to reach the national semifinal for Baylor, while Franzen ends his career as an All-American and all-time leader in career doubles wins at BU with 112. To baseball, the Bears led Kansas State 3-0 in the middle of an elimination game in the Big 12 tournament yesterday before losing their grip and falling 9-4 against the Wildcats. Baylor now awaits its postseason fate. The Bears are 31-20 but finished the season 2-6 in their last 8 without 3 key players. Each player would return from injury or COVID protocol to be ready for the postseason. In football, kickoff times were released for Baylor's opening 3 games this fall. The Bears open the season at Texas State on September 4th at 6 p.m., meet Texas Southern at McLean at 6 p.m. the following week, and face off against Kansas at 2:30 in the afternoon on week 3. All 3 games will be on ESPN+. On the track, Tuesday Tidwell and Alex Madlock earned spots at the Ncaa Championships with star performances yesterday in the West Regional and College Station. Akira Nugent and Aaliyah Miller also advanced to the quarterfinals of the Regional with a handful of other Baylor athletes. Follow Baylor Track on Twitter for more. And Baylor women's basketball will meet Michigan at the Basketball Hall of Fame Showcase alongside a game that takes place between UConn and Louisville. Baylor could also find out as early as today what sanctions will look like from the NCAA revolving around the sexual assault scandal of 2016. We'll keep you updated as news breaks. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Uptempo.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available, touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool, upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts, and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
I got breaking news here. We got Western Athletic Conference just announced they're adding several schools.
The WAC.
The WAC.
Okay. Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
I think Coach Gundy would be like my guy that I would just the hair. Yeah. I just want to be able to see it flow when I kind of slam his arm down.
Here's Drake Toll.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Friday, everybody. Finally Friday. From almost Friday to finally Friday today. We got college baseball on the TV right now. We're looking at live scores. D1 Baseball just released their current field of 64. Also, LSU Paul Maneri from LSU has officially announced his retirement from the program. LSU is now without a head baseball coach. There is a short list of candidates that is currently being drafted on who LSU will go after. Likely Tony Vitello at Tennessee will be one of those guys. Can tell you who's not. That's Tim Tadlock from Texas Tech.
Oh yeah, no way.
Not a chance. They get Tim Tadlock from Texas Tech.
They better not go after Steve Rod because
the Iron Rod.
They keep going after Baylor coaches at LSU school. We've been trading actually. We took Dave Aranda and they took Kim.
Yeah.
They took Dave Aranda and a bunch of staff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we gutted them. We gutted them.
Then we took all of the
LSU.
Matt
Rule took their OC.
Yeah.
Love it.
But the entire staff that Dave Aranda took with him from LSU, most of them aren't here anymore. It went about one season, and they were like,
good riddance.
And it was like, all right, let's take all of what BYU has. Okay. Yeah. LSU didn't work after a national championship, so we got Heisman candidate offensive staff. Let's take those guys this time. Maybe this time it'll work.
And it's going to work, yep.
It sure will.
Full confidence.
Paul Maneri, otherwise known as Pale Marinara. I referenced that.
That is not his nickname.
Pale Marinara? It's not. What?
Some guy just got beaned.
But Paul, I'm trying to find Paul Maneri's resume as I'm looking through here. 15 seasons as LSU's head baseball coach, and he is out of the game after retiring from the sport. So Paul Maneri at LSU out. But I tell you who's in. Paul Maneri out. Richard Cunningham in, joining the show today on Uptempo. Richard, I'm sorry we had a bit of a lapse there in timing, but now we're rocking and rolling. You look as good as ever. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Dude, so grateful to be here, and forgive my delay. I am so sorry, but thankful to be on the show. Love what you guys do. Big supporter. I mean, the coverage is incredible. I mean, I'm down here in Austin, and so I am constantly staying tuned into the Bears when it comes to baseball, football, basketball, you name it, through you guys. So grateful to be on.
Richard, I love it. I'm glad that you get to stay in touch with these programs even as an alumni. That's one of the common things we've heard from so many alumni. Not that they love our stuff, but that they still follow Baylor athletics and do everything they can to stay in the loop. One of my favorite parts about the alumni who played at Baylor. For you, though, Richard, you're looking at a Baylor baseball team this year we've been talking about all day. I made my 12-minute case earlier in the show today for why they should make the postseason. Full body of work, RPI, strength of schedule, strength of conference, everything put together. For you, when you see this Baylor baseball team, and you played in the postseason plenty of times, what makes this team postseason caliber?
Ooh, that's a great question. A lot. And I would say that I would absolutely love to see them get in. Now, does my opinion matter? Not at all. But I've watched a lot of baseball this year. And if you are the committee that's putting together the field of 64, and you look at a team like Baylor baseball with veteran leadership, with the teams they have played, with the wins they have, even go look at their body of losses. I mean, it was rare this year that they were out of games ever. I mean, it's just a super capable team, top to bottom, 1 through 9. They're super deep. I mean, lately they've been pitching without their dudes. Tyler Thomas has been struggling. Blake Helton, I mean, not struggling, but just been unavailable. Blake Helton has now been unavailable as of recent. So, I mean, we're working with not our A team when it comes to on the mound. I mean, I would love to see this Baylor baseball team get another shot. Now, does my opinion matter? And is it going to be super close? Absolutely. I mean, they are right on the border. I mean, there's some things that have to happen for them to get in, like a West Virginia win of the Big 12 conference tournament would be problematic, because then all of a sudden, you know, there's that 5th bid from the Big 12 and Baylor comes out. You know, some upsets in the mid-majors could be problematic, and all of a sudden those bubble teams get pushed down even further. But, I mean, this team deserves to be in, not to mention I know a lot of the guys on the team. I love those guys. And, yeah, I mean, led the league in Big 12 in hitting, all types of talent there. So hope they can get in.
Richard, I'm so glad you brought that up, talking about mid-majors. The phrase that I used at the top of the show is something I heard from Kyle Peterson on the SEC Network last night watching Vanderbilt and Arkansas, and that is one-bid leagues must stay one-bid leagues for teams on the bubble to make it in. And that's a key right now, I think, for Baylor to make it to the postseason.
No, I mean, you are exactly right. And I was fortunate that I never got put into this situation. 2016, we were a no shot. We're not getting in. That was my first year to play, my redshirt freshman year. That was Coach Rodriguez's first year there. 17, 18, and 19, my last 3 years, redshirt sophomore through senior year, I had the fortunate privilege where we're having the watch party on Monday, seeing our names get called, and we were a 2 seed every single time. I wish we would have showed up better in the regionals, but that's just a byproduct of it. And then we had a blast playing and competing and putting Baylor baseball back on the map. That said, this time around, you know, I can promise you all the guys, Coach Rod and company, they are watching those mid-major conference tournaments very closely and saying, stay a one-bid league. They are watching the Big 12 tournament and saying, you know what, I don't like to root for them, but Texas TCU, win the tournament, you know, secure that the Big 12 remains the auto 4 in Texas TCU, Tech, and Oklahoma State. And then maybe as the committee comes together and says, this league is just too good, we've got to put in the no-brainer next best team, the 5th place team. It's the Bears. You know, I understand OU went 3-1 against them this year, but at the same time, I mean, you go look at the full body of work, Baylor versus OU, and yeah, OU might have had our number. There's just too much good there on the Baylor side to leave them out if the Big 12 gets 5 bids.
Richard, along with that, I'm looking at the list of players right now for Baylor baseball, especially the older guys, even mixed in with the young blood. So I'm saying Trey Richardson and Jared Mckenzie, who are two of the younger guys that have really just bolstered this roster. I look at Luke Boyd, Andy Thomas, Tyler Thomas. I'm looking at Hayden Kettler. I mean, how do you leave that list of guys out of the NCAA postseason?
Yeah, I mean, I've even reflected on it. I actually, you know, when they ended up losing to Kansas State the other day, I felt a deep sense of sadness, because I'm like, there's some guys we don't want to watch take off a Baylor baseball uniform. Like, it is going to be a really sad day when we're not watching Hayden Kettler throw for Baylor baseball. It's going to be a really sad day when the name behind the plate is no longer Shea Langoliers and Andy Thomas. Like, that's just tough when Luke Boyd's not coming out of the bullpen. Now, don't get me wrong. Rod and Strauss and Coach Taylor and Coach Mitch, they're going to reload well. And like you said, I mean, if you look at next year's team, 1 through 9, they're going to be phenomenal. I would bet every single person is back outside of Andy, because he's not allowed to be back. He's out of eligibility. But those guys like Davion and Chase, who do have like kind of the eligibility question, should I come back? Knowing them, I would imagine they come back. They might get an opportunity to go play at the next level. And if they do, they should chase it. But at the same time, 1 through 9, they're going to be amazing. Pitching staff-wise, you know, probably lose Tyler to the draft. You'll get Blake back. You get Cam Cayley back. You don't get Hayden back. But to me, it's just, you know, I actually was genuinely sad thinking about, man, if Jimmy Winston ever throws another ball at Baylor Ballpark, that's devastating, or in a Baylor uniform. So I really do hope they get their shot. For you, Richard, as I'm looking at the injury list right now, so the SID this season for Baylor baseball, Zach Rhodes, him and the staff with baseball have compiled the resume that Baylor will send the Big 12, that they will forward, the office will forward to the NCAA committee, they'll review. One of the things that's listed on here are the injuries. That would be Tyler Thomas, Blake Helton, Esteban Cardozo-Oquendo, and then Chase Wesner, who's back now. Those 4 guys in that 2 and 6 stretch missed most of that span, if not all of that span. Getting those 4 guys back, which they would all be healthy for the NCAA tournament, this team at full health, how dangerous is Baylor baseball? Oh, I mean, we saw it in April. I don't know what the exact record is, so forgive me if I'm off here, Drake, but I think 23-4 was the body of work in April. And then you take a little bit of finals time off, and then they come back and just do exactly what they've been doing against Kansas State. And then to go to Oklahoma State team is a really good ball club. They go 1-2, and then to play at home versus OU. And like you said, I mean, just Friday night, we find out all of a sudden Tyler Thomas can't throw. That changes the course and the trajectory of the whole weekend when your guy can't throw. Now, it was Thursday night. Now, do they still find a way to win it? They do, and I love the tenacity and the adversity. Would have loved for them to win those other 2 games. But that's that stuff that's important. You know, Este's not over there playing third base. Chase is brand new back from being off for a couple of weeks. Love that his first at bat back, he hits a bomb. But at the same time, you know, it's just one of those things where Baylor baseball was playing their best baseball in April. They go up into, I don't know if you look at D1 baseball much, they go up into this 2-seed conversation, and then each week they're climbing. They're playing at like worse and worse number 1 seed host sites because their 2-seed just gets that much better. And I'm disappointed that just in a couple of weeks, how fast things can change. They go from 2 to 3 seed now to out on the bubble. And I think this team is too good, and I hope the committee looks at them and says, this is a team that could go put forth a good run. Like, this is a 3 seed that could make some noise and upset somebody. And so we'll see. I wouldn't bet on it, but at the same time, these guys deserve it. That's for darn sure.
Richard, we talked about alumni and the alumni that come back and stay connected with this program. For you now, getting to be behind the mic for a portion of these Baylor baseball games alongside Derek Smith and doing things with this program still to this day, it seems like, to me, a testament to your love for Baylor, the baseball program, and wanting to stay connected. Does it still feel like you're living through this team vicariously as someone who's not that far removed from Rod's staff?
Oh, you have no idea how much I love you. I mean, I got to play with, I think on senior day, they celebrated 13 guys and honored another 4 who kind of went on to do other things in life. You know, they missed their senior day because of the shortened 2020 COVID season. Guys like Ryan Bertelsmann or Hunter Say or Paul Dickens. But I played with, I think of those 13 seniors, 12 of them besides Esty, because he had just transferred in from JUCO after I'd left. And I mean, those guys are like family to me. I had some of them in my wedding. I'll be in some of their weddings. Like, it is, I love this program. I mean, I'm with the coaching staff all the time. Like on Sunday, we're at a 1-year-old baby's birthday party with the coaching staff. It's just a tight-knit group. You know, the culture is incredible. You look at what Baylor basketball did this year, and they built that foundation on culture. That's what Coach Rod and them are establishing. And so to stay involved in any capacity, especially on the radio with Derek or occasional, on Big 12 now with Lincoln or Pat or J-Mo, I mean, it's just such a treat. And so I'm grateful for this program. I mean, they're part of my family and my story. And yeah, I want to see the 2021 team keep going on.
Richard, in your baseball experience, looking at coming into Baylor and what you were able to put together as a Bear, what do you remember about your time in that green and gold that just really sticks with you? I know we had Jake Walsh in studio today who mentioned to us, he said, look, my baseball memories don't include being on the field or being, in the middle of a game at any point in time. They include the bus rides, the hotel. What is it that you take away from Baylor baseball in your experience?
That's a great question. I would echo a lot of Jay Walsh's comments. I mean, the things I do miss, don't get me wrong, are like I love standing out in center field on a beautiful spring night on Friday night. It's April and I'm out there and the game just started. The final pitcher walk-up music just played and it's like, all right, it's go time. Like, I don't know who's hitting right now, but you got those butterflies that like this ball could come to me at any moment. I miss digging in the box, and those are the things that I miss a lot. But to echo Jacob's comments, I mean, the debates in the locker room during a rain delay, the long bus rides to Norman or Lord knows where, or the plane rides to West Virginia, like that's the stuff you can't get enough of. Doing homework at 2 a.m. because you just played in, all nighter because of a rain delay. I mean, that stuff it's infatuating. You think back on it, you're like, how could I ever recreate such an experience? And so that's what I miss. And then there's of course like the moments like the 2018 Big 12 championship and like actually being the guy to score the run when Shea hits the walk-off and like running straight from home plate to the dog pile and just being like, holy smokes, I got to have a part of this. Like going down to Austin and hitting a bomb in your hometown against a team you just can't stand and just being like, wait, this is as sweet as it gets. I got my family and friends and then girlfriend and like hometown coaches and stuff like that. And I'm leading off the game with a bomb. Like how fun is that? So definitely miss those things for sure. But it's, it's the camaraderie and it's the guys and it's hanging out with Coach Rod and all those guys all the time.
Richard, we were able to talk to Troy Montemayor yesterday about really
what a legend.
Oh man, like career leader in saves. This guy, he was the guy. He was Luke Boyd before Luke Boyd. That you knew when he comes in, like, all right, we're in good hands. And he was telling us really the transition from head coaches, going from Steve Smith into Coach Steve Rodriguez, and having Rod at the helm of this program, that no matter what, in those transition phases, you're going to have culture change as a new coach brings in his culture and what he sees and embodies as a head guy, as a skipper. For you getting to see Coach Rod come in and build that at Baylor, I know it took a couple of years, but went a lot faster than folks thought that it would. For him, how do you value Coach Rod, what he was able to do for you starting early on in your career?
That's an awesome question. I think the best way to describe the culture change Coach Rod built in, I love Steve Smith. I love his family. They are good quality people. And when Coach Rod came in, the culture change he implemented was just kind of like, hey, we are starting fresh. Everyone has a blank slate. What has been done here before is special. Let's build upon that. But he's like, I don't know any of you. Let's start a blank slate. And so his way of doing that was he just leveled the playing field. And he goes, all right, 5:45 a.m. workouts. And we got after it. And you'd often think, like, well, why are these baseball guys working out the way they're working out? They stand out there and catch fly balls and then, hit the ball. Like, I can't imagine they need to work out like they need to work out. But it was just this toughness that Coach Rod started to instill. And he brought in an athletic, guy named Kale Igbo, who's our strength and conditioning coach. And we were dialed in. And you could just kind of feel this bedrock that he was going to lay of like, hey, we will be tough. We will be held accountable. We will do things the right way. Our shirts are going to be tucked in. We're all going to wear the exact same thing. We're going to wear the exact same sock length. We're going to be in a formal lines. And like, he started there and got us all on the same page, wiped the slate clean. And then from there, he let the individual personalities and the culture of each guy that they bring to the table kind of shine forth and come out. And what it did was just phenomenal. And it became a lot more like team over yourself and like the group over the individual. And when you start to buy into that humility, it's amazing how fast things can start changing. You don't care who gets the big hit. You don't care who's on the bump. You just want to dub as a group. And so I would just kind of give that to Coach Rod because he's the first guy who will tell you it's not about me. When we win, it's the guys on the field. When we lose, it's my responsibility. And it's that humility that's really, really special.
Richard, I remember being in junior high playing football, about the extent of my athletic career, although I was a captain freshman year. I do want to throw that out there.
That's a good career right there. Don't be mistaken.
Hey, I said, the CTE stuff is way too serious. I'm getting out while I can. It's been a great ride. I just dipped out to really, it was a choice me and my family made together. But with that, I remember getting a new football coach, and we were all kind of pissed about it. It was like, all right, change is just not fun in sports a lot of the time. The new coach came in, and from day one in the team meeting, it was do we trust this guy? How much does he know? How much can you, which again, that was junior high football, not Division I baseball. But Rod coming in for a guy like yourself that had been there for a year, when you graduated, you had been at Baylor longer than Coach Steve Rodriguez. Why trust him and Coach Strauss and the rest of that staff when they came in?
These are really good questions. I'm having fun reflecting on them. I'm going to be telling the missus later about all the stuff that I got to reflect upon with Baylor baseball. And she's going to be like, oh no, here you go again with your glory days rant.
Glory days.
First of all, you trust the kind of man he is. Anyone can say anything, but then you go look at the body of work and you say, oh my goodness, this is a high caliber man. And you watch the way Steve Rodriguez lives his life and then the way he surrounded himself at the time. It was John Strauss, Mike Taylor, who are still on staff as pitching and hitting respectively. Then Ruben Noriega, who's now still in the professional baseball industry. But now he's brought in Coach Mitch, who I didn't get to play with. But he surrounded himself with amazing men. Strength and conditioning was Kale Igbo, and then he brought in Josh Nelson. And these are phenomenal men. And you just kind of look at the way he carries himself. And what he says starts to match up with who he is. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is a no-brainer. You also trust him too, because now he's got some subject matter expertise. The dude was on if I'm not mistaken, the cover of Sports Illustrated as like a Pepperdine college baseball player. That's like never happened. He's played in the bigs with the Red Sox and the Tigers. And so you understand he's been there and he's walked this road. Not to mention me, I'm 5'0". I weigh 100 and nothing pounds. I'm a tiny little scrawny dude that's hoping my speed can somehow keep me in the game of college baseball. He's also a small dude who found a way to have success and was a scrapper and a battler. And so, everything that was said was backed up by who he is, and that's why you trust him. And then not to mention, he's a man of faith, and he's a family man, and he's a godly man. And he had, young Nolan at the time, who's now on the team, and young Julie at the time. And you look at the body of work there and say, this guy's built his life on something that's legit. And we'll trust that. And he was bought into what Baylor wanted to do and Mac Rhodes wanted to do. And we were excited. It was a fun, new energy. I mean, definitely a hard transition, like you said. I mean, change is not easy. Going from a coach who'd been there for 25 years or something like that, and Steve Smith, who had success, to a whole new regime. I mean, I got recruited by a different coaching staff than I ended up playing my actual 4 years with. And so it's not easy, but he was the right guy for the change.
Richard, moving back into this season and what you've seen with these players, this team that you still know a lot of these older guys, the leaders in the locker room, when you think about, okay, say Baylor makes this thing, they go in as a 3 seed, and then maybe they have to go to Fayetteville, maybe they have to go to Vanderbilt, they're going to Nashville, Knoxville. What makes them, though, dangerous? What gives this team a fighter's chance in one of these regionals?
Gosh, that's good. I mean, I would not want to run into them as a 3 seed. I mean, that is, it reminds me of 2017. We draw the Houston regional. They're the 1 seed. We're the 2 seed. We get freaking Texas A&M as our 3 seed. And it's like, can't we get anyone else other than, we know this team is loaded. And so, I mean, that's just one of those funny things that Baylor, I think, would be that situation where the 2 seed would get Baylor and be like, really? A Power 5 conference who's got a legit first-night dude in Tyler Thomas, who's got a team batting average over 300. I mean, there's countless things that makes them dangerous, but I think that really what gets the job done for them is they won't go play a team in regional play that will shock them because they haven't already seen that level of competition. They went and hit off Ty Madden. They went and hit off TCU's, arsenal of big power left-handed arms. I mean, they've seen it all. There won't be an environment that shocks them. I mean, yes, like those Arkansas, Mississippi State, Knoxville type environments, that's special stuff. They're going to have thousands of people there, and that's just fun. I mean, I love that. But at the same time, in between the lines, they haven't seen anything yet that would be new to them, like maybe some of these smaller mid-major teams that are just, deer in the headlights type situation. So I think they deserve a stab at it. I mean, they've been there. They've risen to the occasion. Yeah.
Well, Richard, before we get you out of here, obviously we have our Bear Games question of the day, but before I even get to the Bear Games question of the day, I'll give a little hint, a little nugget to the folks at home that are listening. A lot of the times when we have guests on, I got to do some research and get some stuff going here.
I'm impressed by you, man. You've done a good job.
I'm looking at tweets from 2016. I mean, I'm just digging. And I do want to bring up your brother, Michael, who was the captain of the Santa Clara rugby team.
That's a man's game right there.
Take me through. You grew up a rugby brother. Come on, man. What is Michael still playing rugby here and there?
That's awesome. Yeah, I always was not thrilled about my online bio for Baylor University because I actually wrote it after my junior year of high school, right when I committed. They're like, hey, write as a bio that you've everything you've done thus far. And I remember Zach Peters to Rachel Caton, and now Zach. I'm like, guys, can I please get my bio updated to reflect my senior year of high school? I feel like that was my best year, but that's just my own pride. But anyways, in my bio, I guess they left off the cutoff too that my little sister Kara was a part of my family as well. So she would go on and read my Baylor baseball bio and be like, all right, it lists Michael, Richard, but what about me? Hello, I exist too. Just because I didn't play rugby doesn't mean that I'm not a person. So that's another one of those things. But my brother, absolute machine, he's back in Texas now and we go to CrossFit together and he just laps me when we're at the gym. I'm an absolute joke compared to him. But he was a beast. Our first love as a family was football. My dad was a high school football coach forever. My mom coached the cheerleaders at University of Texas. And so my true first love was football. I just happened to be 5'9" and I wasn't cut out for the big time football and I could hit a little bit, so I wouldn't play baseball. But yeah, my brother's also his first love was football. And he was just like, you know what, I'm going to go take this one step further in college and go play some rugby. So he was a stud, and Santa Clara rugby was legit, and they played out there with Cal and Stanford and all those guys, and it's fun to live the glory days with him also.
Wow, a rugby brother. I love it. On top of being National Honor Society. You were a National Honor Society kid. I mean, this is...
dude, you're digging deep. You're going back.
We're going. I've almost got your favorite cereal. I've got some guys here in the back that are trying to figure it out from some tweets that we can pull up. But Richard, I want to get Bear Games question of the day today is one that we used earlier this week. And I've tailored it a little bit to some of these baseball guys we've had on just because it's been such an interesting question to get answers from. This is, if you could pick one major league ballpark to play a collegiate series in as a Baylor Bear against another college team, who would it be? Which college team and which major league ballpark just packed to the brim?
That's a great question. My initial gut wants to go Seattle because I've got a lot of family up in the Pacific Northwest. It'd be a ton of fun to do that, but I'm leaving that behind. We're going to Denver, Colorado, and we're playing in the mountains because the ball travels further. And we're playing a team with power right-handed arms, so I got to think. This year they didn't have a lot of power right-handed arms, but usually they do, and that's OU. I mean, you guys know I got carved by the off-speed and the change-ups, and it was just, everyone in college baseball knew I couldn't hit off-speed, but I love fastballs. So we're going to Denver, Colorado, where the ball travels and the guys are only throwing fastballs. So it's Bears versus Sooners, circa 2018, and I'm going to hopefully hit a few bombs.
Bring it on. Baylor, Oklahoma at Coors Field. I will say, I'm not sure if the Baylor administration would love the fact that the Bears are playing at Coors Field. We may have to do a little bit of altering there, sponsorship-wise. But I tell you what, I'd make the trip, I think, if they paid me to make the trip to cover it. So, Richard, I want to thank you, though, for coming on. Congratulations on everything that you've done, and now getting to be a part of those broadcasts with Derek is always awesome to hear you. You said it, Derek. There's like a whole alphabet soup of guys that you've gotten to work with this past year. But it's great to hear you on those and get your perspective today. Thank you for doing this with us.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. I'm a huge up-tempo fan, SicEm365 fan. Please tell Colt and Smokey and everybody, very appreciative of the work y'all do. I mean, it's a big passion of ours, and y'all keep the fire going. So thank you.
Bring it on. Thanks again, Richard Cunningham, for joining the show. Pleasure to have Richard on today. Former Baylor baseball player who now works with Derek Smith and those guys, John Morris, covering baseball games for IMG ESPN+. And hope to have him again soon if Baylor baseball is able to make it into a regional and make it into regional play moving forward. How about that? Richard Cunningham, an up-tempo guy. So, tell you what, when we come back from this, we're going to make our bet a little bit more on some of this baseball stuff. We got top 5 coming up at 1:30 today. I do want to talk a little bit more in depth on some of the scores around the country today that are going to affect Baylor baseball and where they'll be and if they can make the postseason. Because, again, there are a lot of teams. If you want to find out who to root for this weekend, I've got them all for you right here, who you need to root for moving forward for Baylor to be able to make the postseason. Man, it's tight. It is just tight right now. Virginia won today. That hurts Baylor's chances. But it is tight. If it's a football game, we are down. We're down by 6, and Alabama is lining up for a 55-yard field goal, or we're tied, and Alabama's down by the 55-yard field goal. We got to take it back. It's only happened once. Maybe it can happen again. Got to have a miracle. I'm Drake Toll. We got Armstrong Sims, Andrew Robertson, Marquise Cooley, and Jack Mckenzie. This hour of SicEm365's Up-Tempo is brought to you by Banson Business Services, owned by Baylor grad and SicEm365 premium member Jonathan Green. Banson Business Services offers a full suite of business support and financial services. Banson specializes in bookkeeping, payroll, outsourced CFO services, and consulting. They can even help you with your taxes. Their business helps you run your business. Visit SicEm365.com/Banson, BANCIN for more information. When we come back, we're talking some more baseball and football kickoff times. ESPN Plus, is it the bane of your existence? It's not the bane of mine. Don't go anywhere. This is Up-Tempo.
A storybook season comes to a close for Baylor men's tennis as singles player Adrian Boitan fell in the national semifinal against the number 2 player in the nation. And the doubles pairing of Konstantin Franzen and Sven Law dropped a tight match to number 4 pairing from Tennessee. Boitan became the first player since 2005 to reach the national semifinal for Baylor, while Franzen ends his career as an All-American and all-time leader in career doubles wins at BU with 112. To baseball, the Bears led Kansas State 3-0 in the middle of an elimination game in the Big 12 tournament yesterday before losing their grip and falling 9-4 against the Wildcats. Baylor now awaits its postseason fate. The Bears are 31-20 but finished the season 2-6 in their last 8 without 3 key players. Each player would return from injury or COVID protocol to be ready for the postseason. In football, kickoff times were released for Baylor's opening 3 games this fall. The Bears open the season at Texas State on September 4th at 6 p.m., meet Texas Southern at McLean at 6 p.m. the following week, and face off against Kansas at 2:30 in the afternoon on Week 3. All 3 games will be on ESPN+. On the track, Tuesday Tidwell and Alex Madlock earned spots at the Ncaa Championships with star performances yesterday in the West Regional in College Station. Akira Nugent and Aaliyah Miller also advanced to the quarterfinals of the Regional with a handful of other Baylor athletes. Follow Baylor Track on Twitter for more. And Baylor women's basketball will meet Michigan at the Basketball Hall of Fame Showcase alongside a game that takes place between UConn and Louisville. Baylor could also find out as early as today what sanctions will look like from the NCAA revolving around the sexual assault scandal of 2016. We'll keep you updated as news breaks. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to Up-Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll for a Baylor take on your lunch break.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den today. Happy Friday, everybody. Call us 254-339-1122. And open up the phone lines. That's my personal cell phone number. 254-339-1122. Field 64 released by D1 Baseball. Look at the D1 Baseball scoreboard from across the country. A lot of these games matter a ton for Baylor because of who is where. TCU beat Texas Tech 7-2. Baylor now needs TCU to win the Big 12 tournament. That would behoove the Bears. You've got Tennessee knocked off Alabama 11-0 today, ending Alabama's SEC tournament. And Alabama wins one game in Hoover. So Tennessee beating Alabama in mercy rule fashion in 7 innings is very key. That could be great. Alabama could be bumped for Baylor, possibly. Virginia beating Notre Dame right now 14-0. On a scale of 1 to good, that is not. Virginia is a bubble team right beside Baylor, and if Virginia wins, that is going to be problematic for Baylor. Looking at Memphis is losing to East Carolina. That needs to hold. That would bode well for Baylor. Kansas State's playing Texas Tech right now. We need Tech to win. Baylor needs Tech to win. You got Ole Miss and Vandy. That's not going to matter. Florida State and Miami. It'd be great for Florida State to win that one. Florida State's likely. I mean, Florida State, RPI-wise, 46. Baylor at 43. But Florida State's a top 25 team. I don't get it. If you're looking just RPI, Baylor should be in. Baylor could be in right here. But who knows? UC Irvine, need them to win. Indiana, if they beat Maryland, that would be great. Really, really awesome. No team in one team in the Big Ten, Nebraska, should make it in. One team. The Big Ten is so incredibly terrible. They are bad at baseball. Baylor should make it in over any Big Ten team that's not maybe Nebraska. And Nebraska already got an automatic. North Carolina, NC State, be great if NC State won that one. And then we've got a caller coming in here. We're going to take here in just 1 second before. I want to give you these really quick, though. Teams to root for this weekend. Teams you need to be watching this weekend if you're catching some baseball. I'll be watching. I'm sorry. My mom's in Dallas. My family's in Dallas this weekend, and I'm not going to be able to go see them because I'll be watching a lot of baseball. If there are teams you want to root for, Armstrong, we can get a graphic of this up. That'd be great. As I say these, you just type them in. Oh, you see that he's walking off. All right, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to want to root for this weekend. Notre Dame from the ACC. You're going to want, these are the teams that need to win their conference tournaments, win their conference titles. Liberty, VCU, Texas Tech, TCU, Connecticut, UC Irvine, Northeastern, Old Dominion, Wright State, Indiana State, Nevada, and Gonzaga. Those are the teams. Clip that right there, a little 30-second blurb right there. Those are the teams that Baylor needs to win conference tournaments. If every one of those teams win their conference tournaments, I'm confident Baylor gets in.
Are you aware that Notre Dame is down 14-1 right now?
Yeah. That's one of the teams that you could probably interchangeable with another ACC schools.
I hope so.
Power Five conferences are pretty interchangeable.
Good. That's good news for the Bears because Notre Dame just lost 14-1 officially. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're pretty interchangeable. They're pretty interchangeable. We're going to be okay. Baylor's going to be okay with Notre Dame losing to Virginia. Got a caller on the line here. Got to talk to, it says, River from Waco, Texas. What's going on?
River. Man, I don't know anything about rivers. This is a dinosaur. I don't swim.
Yeah, I don't know. It says caller name unknown too. That's so weird to me. River and caller name unknown. I've never heard that before. T-Rex, welcome on to Uptempo. Glad to have you back. Sounds like you've had time. Similar to football postgame shows, you've had time to calm down a little bit.
Well, I was also in a rush. I had a work call I had to jump on and didn't learn anything from it. So then I took, your baseball discussions with former players, that put me in a happier place.
Former players are always great.
I know, man. Good job getting those guys on the show. Any sport, getting alumni on the show, they always give some unique perspectives that us fans will otherwise not have. So props to y'all. Props to, Jack and Armstrong and the rest of the team for doing all the hard work and allowing Drake to sit there and look pretty.
Pretty sure Jack's just eating peanuts somewhere in the back right now, but that's fine.
Hey, well, that's better than saying that we need to beat Notre Dame and then they lose. So
yeah, T-Rex has a great point.
That's okay because you know what? the prophecy is interchangeable every week, right? So anytime we lose, it was just misinterpreted. It's like the Bible. There's many translations. So, anyways, I just want to talk real quick. Like, I'm not a big baseball guy. I never played baseball. I loosely follow it. I'll follow Baylor, but I don't follow really professional baseball or anything like that. I just want to know, in your opinion, and if you covered this today or recently, I'm sorry, but like in your opinion, when it comes to Baylor baseball, I know that injuries have happened, and we had guys out with COVID, and we still have guys out with COVID, which is kind of mind-blowing, but that's whatever. What do you think went wrong this season? It seems like we started out bad. We lost, I think it was Rio Grande Valley. Any team that has like 15 acronyms in their name, if you're a Power 5, you should beat them, but that's whatever. But, I feel like we started out bad. We started getting hot, and then it just kind of collapsed at the end there. And I know we've had weather issues, things like that, and we played in a tough conference. But in your opinion, what do you think went bad this year that's caused us to be on this bubble? In my opinion, a bubble. You feel like we're in, but I think there's a bubble. Yeah, there's definitely a bubble. Baylor's about as bubble as you can bubble right now. I fingers crossed that they're in. They're going to meet as if they're in for the selection show, but they may not hear their name called. That's going to be a sad day if so. I'm looking right now at what went wrong. When you take Baylor baseball schedule and go up top to bottom, UTRGV is terrible. Right. If a team is called Mississippi Valley State and you lose to them in literally anything, that's so bad. But then they recovered really well. We had an analyst on this show that said, hey, it is so bad for Baylor that they're doing host sites early because Baylor could actually host if they sweep Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, which should happen. What took place, crazy late inning game in Stillwater where you couldn't pull it off in game one, where you go to extras. If Baylor wins that against Oklahoma State and takes the series against Oklahoma State, they're squarely in the tournament. Home against Oklahoma, what went wrong is that Baylor, a rising 2 seed, went 2-4 in their last 6 in the regular season and lost a home series against an Oklahoma team that's not very good. That is what went wrong early or late in the season, right there before really committee starts to dial in. Why did those go wrong? Injuries, COVID, a huge part of that. You lose 2 out of your 3 weekend guys. The most crucial part of your team, in my opinion, your 3 weekend starters, 3 consistent weekend starters. I'd take that over anything else. Baylor loses 2 of those guys that had made their bed as consistent weekend starters, not just for Oklahoma State, but also for OU and the Big 12 tournament. You've got to have pitching moving through those games. What went wrong? You're missing guys that you've got to have to win games. And when they're not there, it's just going to be tough to win. It's going to be tough to win. And Baylor couldn't string it together. What would go right for Baylor in the postseason is the fact that they get, out of those guys, they're going to get every single one of them back for the NCAA regional. The committee, if the committee looks at healthy Baylor is 31 wins, 30 wins, and 10 losses, 12 losses, then at that point you've got to say, okay, they've got to be in, because healthy Baylor is what you'll see in the regional, and that's where Baylor will be competitive against anybody. Gotcha. Yeah, I just feel like we've had nice spurts of success in the past, and we can go back to 2005, and then I think 2012 again, and then 2018 was a really great year, like 1 out away from a Big 12 regular season title, I think, and then we won the tournament. Or maybe I'm swapping that out, 2018 and 19. I don't know. Apologize, but I just appreciate all that breakdown there. I just want to know what it's going to take, for us to be able to compete with the state schools, because I know the scholarship limit is a big deal. Yep. That everyone has to have the same rules, but when we're talking our tuition is $60,000, and you're getting a partial scholarship, or you can pay like $10,000 and go to a state school. I just wonder what it's going to take for us to be able to regularly compete for Big 12 titles, be up there and get that talent. Because at the end of the day, baseball's a sport, not everyone's on a full ride. So, kids got, unless they're deep pockets, they got to, they could go play for a worse program but get school for a lot cheaper. So I'm just always curious what it's going to take in sports like baseball to be able to compete, to get those recruits that are going to make a difference. So it's interesting. I appreciate the breakdown. I'll say this, T-Rex, and this is something I had a conversation with someone last night. The deepest pockets in sports, in my opinion, would be baseball.
because you're looking at baseball guys, most baseball guys. I want some opinions in the studio with this too. Most baseball guys to play at the Division I level, they've had pitching lessons, they had hitting lessons, they had fielding lessons, they played tournament baseball. They paid thousands upon thousands of dollars to play tournament baseball.
It's the worst take you've ever had.
And if you didn't do those things, you're not playing Division I college baseball.
You have some disagreements back here.
I mean, this is the worst.
But if they spent that much money, how do they have any money to afford Baylor? Well, they're broke by the time they get to college.
Well, they have that money to spend. They have that money to spend in the first place. You get where I'm going with that.
Man, you should be a financial advisor, Drake.
Baseball has the deepest pockets.
No, not even.
No,
close. Are you saying out of all sports? Are you saying out of Baylor sports? What are you saying?
I'm saying football, basketball, baseball. Baseball's deepest
so
pockets.
That's 3
far
sports.
away.
Oh, 3 sports. Okay.
The 3. I don't know. Baseball's not a revenue sport, but the big three. Baseball's got the deepest
football's
pockets.
probably deeper. You know, that equipment. Helmets are expensive.
Bro.
No, league kids don't buy their own helmets.
You just talked about how they're entering fancy tournaments. The kids that are playing at high levels have to buy their nice little helmets with their padding. Those are expensive.
No, they don't have to. You don't have to buy your own individual helmets and padding. You're playing.
They're spending so much money on personal trainers and
Pop Warner.
Dude, baseball. I play baseball.
Are we talking? You buy your equipment for?
You're talking about like
for football?
You're talking, Drake, what you're talking about is some dude who plays YMCA football for 5 years. If anyone who has any kind of
Pop Warner, literally Pop Warner is not YMCA. Everyone starts out in Pop Warner.
How is our argument
matter?
Drake,
how is our
football
argument
developed in high school and junior high? Anything before junior high doesn't matter for football. It's not a sport impacted by Little League. It's not. Baseball is. Basketball, arguably. Football will never be impacted.
Boom.
By Little League
agreed.
sports.
Basketball, if those people that play college, like those top players, AAU, hundreds of dollars to play every season.
No, I said basketball. And baseball,
which is
not
way less
football.
significantly less than baseball. Those AAU basketball tournaments, significantly less.
I don't understand
because the revenue, especially that comes off those basketball tournaments,
I'm not
is so
argue
much
that.
more.
I didn't play basketball. I might have went to La Vega High School.
Why is it that?
That's got a good point.
Why is it that when I bring up football, it's Pop Warner, but when you bring up baseball, it's $2,000 tournaments of the highest level? There's high levels in football too. These kids that are going pro are in like the highest level tournaments with the highest level. You can spend a ton of money on football if you like. There's opportunity. I played single A baseball. That probably cost me $100. I mean, and I had a crappy bat and a crappy mitt. You can play Pop Warner football.
Are you still playing baseball? You still playing baseball?
No.
Exactly.
How does that make sense?
Hold on, guys,
exactly, Drake. You just shut that. You just
no. Are you still playing
arguing against yourself? You're arguing against yourself.
Hey, Rob, I didn't spend very
much money.
That
only applies to baseball, in your opinion?
No, I didn't say only. Did I?
Yes, that is your argument. That is your argument. That is literally your argument.
No, my argument is that baseball is the deepest pocket sport.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
But I didn't say it's the only sport you have to pay money to be good at.
But you're saying it's the most expensive.
Yes.
But I don't
and
think
then every argument you're proposing applies to football as well, equally.
How equally?
And basketball. No, because if you're talking about like
equally.
you're paying like thousands of dollars to go for like trainers and stuff like that. That's like, for example, you take Trae Young. He went to like a bunch of like Chris Paul's camp, stuff like that. Those are thousands of dollars. I looked into going because I played basketball growing up. If you're trying to go to like a top camp, like a Nike Elite camp, that's thousands of dollars right there for just a session for like a week.
Okay. Baseball, softball, you're going to lessons every week, but here's the deal.
So you are with football too.
Here's the deal. Football,
Hold on. If you're a quarterback, maybe like
what are you, a lineman? I'm a lineman. I'm going to lineman.
There's
I'm going to
camps.
every week. I'm going to lineman training.
Besides camp and maybe trainers, but personal trainers is not nearly as big of a thing in football for high school and junior high kids as it is in baseball and basketball. And there's no Little League or there's no AAU for football.
That's true, though. That's
I feel
objective.
like we're comparing apples and oranges right there.
What piece of baseball equipment costs more than a football helmet?
In no part of history has anyone ever bought their own football, had to buy their own football helmet.
Oh my God.
In no part of history has anyone had to buy their own football helmet.
Football helmets sitting on my shelf right now that are all game played in, and I paid a hell of a lot of money for this chrome one.
Okay, if you're playing in the top level football camps and that's not through like a high school or anything. They don't provide you crappy helmets. You go out and you buy like your Flex
You know how
Seal
much
helmet.
fewer players are doing that than are playing baseball
that's
at the
whole
AAA
argument.
level?
You know how many fewer players are going in $2,000 baseball tournaments compared to Pop Warner? Like the argument's the exact same.
So are you arguing money spent
Hey guys, I think the
overall?
argument should be I think the argument should be this. If you look on the parking lot of the football ops center and you look in the parking lot of the baseball field, there are a lot of nice trucks in the baseball field. There ain't that many nice trucks. This is me saying that every baseball player is a freaking redneck from West Texas, but, you know, and they have to have deep pockets to afford all that dip because tobacco ain't cheap. But, you know.
What? The Escalades are in the baseball parking lot. What T-Rex is saying is the Range Rovers
to win a Big 12 championship.
It's gonna take a lot because the private school deal, and you're trying to. There's all kinds of stuff with private schools where Vanderbilt's done it.
If we sell beer, can we have a championship? If we sell beer, can we get a championship?
Yeah, if we go Coke products, we got to give away Pepsi.
I just want to sell beer.
T-Rex, thanks for your call. Oh my
gosh.
T-Rex. Yeah, no, the Escalades are in the base. The Range Rovers are in the baseball parking lot.
That's not the argument. That's fine.
So here's the deal: when you look at like numbers wise, the football. Yeah, I want to give you 2 points. 2 points. The football players that are like, of
course you do,
elite, right? Because that's what an argument is made up of.
Yeah,
is
keep going.
points.
Keep going.
The football players, the elite level, not like, hey, my mom's paying thousands of dollars for me to go to these camps to play football and all that.
Buy your helmet.
Those guys are, say, 10 to every one of those. There are 10 kids playing AAA tournament baseball, thousands of dollars to get in these tournaments, and there are 30, 40 teams in every single one of these tournaments in cities across America. To every one football player that's playing in that big time $1,000 I play tournament football, there are 10 that do it in baseball.
Do you realize how many people play basketball that at that level?
Yeah, you're making the argument for baseball. You can make that same argument for basketball.
No.
You just
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. You go to Atlanta. The biggest basketball tournaments in AAU basketball are where? EYBL, Atlanta, Georgia. Peach Jam in Atlanta.
Those are also some of the most exclusive.
You get hundreds of teams there, right? You get those. Like, those are very exclusive. There are a handful of cities that host major EYBL tournaments in the country. Baseball, on the other hand, every state in the South has 3 cities that have tournaments on that scale, that have massive AAA tournaments on that scale with 20 or more, dozens of teams in them. There are exponentially more players playing at that expensive level of a sport in baseball than there are basketball.
You just said dozens of teams in tournaments of the same scale as the basketball
and
tournaments
way
that
more
have
of the
hundreds
tournaments.
of teams.
And way more of the tournaments.
Are you arguing
the scale doesn't line up, but you're saying they're the same scale?
No, it does.
That's not the argument.
Okay.
Your argument is, are you talking about money spent overall, total of all people?
So here's what point
or
2.
individuals?
Remember, point 2.
Because what that argument was for overall, which is not the argument
You're
at
just
all.
saying there's more baseball players than anyone else.
That is point 1.
So point 1 was completely void.
Point 1's not void because you got
it had nothing to do with the argument.
Parents,
That's what we just
parents
established.
in baseball are coughing up this money.
But you were arguing money spent overall.
Yes, but we're talking one person.
Yeah, you're
taking a whole team.
Yeah.
Which baseball, that's going to work because they have bigger teams.
The team trickles down to the individual. The team trickles down to the individual. And baseball, let's have bigger teams. Basketball, you're going to EYBL, I'm taking 10 or 11. Baseball, I'm going to Tupelo, Mississippi, I'm taking 11 players. Same size teams. So that's number 1, point 1, and it trickles down. Team cost more because there are more people. Parents are coughing up that money. Point 2.
Okay,
basketball.
That's still not the argument.
I'm going to talk.
Well, no. First, we have to establish that your point 1 has absolutely nothing to do with your argument,
parents are
and
paying
therefore means
more
nothing.
money. That parents are paying more money is the argument.
Now that we've established that, we can go on to point 2.
You're saying that parents pay
which is
more.
Actually, point 1.
You're saying that parents pay more money because there's more players. That's not the argument. You're saying there's more players on a
there's more. So here's the deal too. These entry fees into tournaments, into a AAA baseball tournament, I've seen it in Colorado. I'm looking at Colorado especially. It's where a lot of these big tournaments are. Mississippi hosts a lot of baseball. Colorado, a lot of softball. California is huge too. Entry level fees to these tournaments are much more than basketball. The reason why, it's objective. Here's the reason why. Basketball, these tournament, EYBL tournaments, this is true, generate more revenue than a AAA baseball tournament. That's objective. EYBL tournaments generate more revenue, so the team cost, entry-level cost, is lower to those tournaments. Therefore, your parents are paying less.
But no, with basketball, like you're not just playing in that tournament. Like you play in that tournament for like a week or a weekend, and then that next weekend, if you're like serious about basketball, you're flying out to California playing another tournament. Then you're flying out to New York playing another tournament. So how many
players are doing that in comparison to baseball?
If you're serious, every person on the AAU team, you take the AAU team around the country. You travel.
Man, how many people do you think play baseball? The sport is getting boring. It's dying. How many young guys are coming through compared to basketball?
Hey,
seriously.
I'll tell you how many. There are 45 players per roster in college baseball and 12 in basketball. That's the team. That's the comparison.
How many college baseball teams are there out there? Because there are 300.
Yeah. Division I baseball and Division I basketball have the same number of teams. Welcome to the big leagues, baby. So, what?
But there's more spots on a baseball roster than there's on a basketball roster. So that's not a fair argument to make because, of course, baseball's going to have more players.
I mean, individually, you're paying more to play. Here's the reason. Here's point two.
What?
Here's point
that had
two.
nothing to do. Everything we just talked about for the last 5 minutes has nothing to do with your argument.
Going back to the main argument.
Right, we're going to point two. Point two, okay?
1.2 now?
Basketball.
You haven't covered how are you possibly attempting to tie this back to that argument?
No one's letting me get there.
Go. I'm so excited.
Basketball skills and drills, right? We've established that if you are an elite basketball player, you probably go to a skills and drills trainer, and you go there every week. Yeah, that's true. I don't know why you look like.
Probably. Yeah. I mean,
You're going to a skills and drills trainer every week. You're probably paying $150 or more per session with that skills and drills trainer if you're that serious, right?
Now, if you're going for top ones, no, you're not. You're paying way more.
Okay, but how many are going to the top ones? Those top ones take what, 10 hours?
That doesn't matter.
You're making all these caveats for basketball players, but not making them the same caveats for baseball players.
But no one's gonna let me finish my point to get to the baseball point, right?
Finish.
So you got these guys that are going to skills and drills, paying a lot of money for sessions. Baseball, here's where baseball gets different. A lot of these great players too, most of them, because especially the young kids, they want to pitch. They're going to not just skills and drills basketball. You're going to hitting on Monday. I have seen this personally with my own sister. You're going hitting on Monday. You're going to pitching on Tuesday. You're going to fielding on Wednesday. And you are not only, you're one session, you're 2 sessions a week with these trainers. Now you're playing tournaments on the weekends. You have 3 separate skills coaches that you see in a week. The pockets in baseball, again, and T-Rex said it, you go to the gym out, like the Escalades are in the baseball parking lot. There are deeper pockets. There are deeper pockets in baseball. If you have more money, the more money you have, the better shot you have in any sport to have your kid be good, right? Would that make sense? More money to hire trainers.
Yes.
More money to get them in tournaments.
Obviously.
And there are deeper pockets in baseball.
That had nothing to do with that.
I would like to have a rebuttal. Okay, here's my rebuttal.
Escalades and parking lots?
The kids that are seriously competitive and are playing top dollar for these sports are traveling a lot. Travel is a lot of the cost, right?
Okay.
You said that there are, in every state, there's 3 cities that have the biggest baseball tournaments, so they don't have to travel that much. There's going to be a baseball huge tournament close to them. The serious kids that are serious about basketball, no matter where they're from, have to travel to Atlanta or to Los Angeles or to New York City for these huge tournaments. Those travel costs cost a lot more than those baseball costs to travel.
Not true.
Why is that not true?
Because, so you get the same as in basketball. The EYBL circuit is filled with how many teams?
Hundreds.
The top EYBL circuit. You're talking like Peach Jam.
I would. You have a good amount because they do. It's like an event. It's a huge event.
Right, and you have your A. You have different classes of teams. So your A class, your Peach Jam. Those are the teams that are traveling. Is it gold? Is that what they call platinum?
I don't know exactly.
I don't remember this. We'll say it's gold, for example. Your gold class Peach Jam, we'll say 50 teams, right? I'd say comparable for baseball. Those 50 teams, the ones that are traveling, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Denver, New York, to play EYBL tournaments. In the same vein, while there are close tournaments, those EYBL teams, they're not ever playing a tournament in Branson, Missouri, right? They're not playing a tournament in Waco, Texas. They're going to the big cities. Baseball players, same thing. Your gold level, big time, AAA guys. There's a huge tournament in Dallas, but There's a bigger one in New York. There's a bigger one in Los Angeles. So they, same as EYBL, are traveling. Travel cost doesn't. You can't differentiate the two in travel costs, I wouldn't say.
I'm going to go back to your point on so you're saying baseball players, you have to pay for individual trainers for each portion.
Yeah. You don't have a hitting and pitching. Your hitting and pitching coach or hitting and fielding coach, not the same person, not the same guy.
Okay, but in basketball, you could say the same thing. You might have one trainer for your basketball skills, but you're going to have another one for strength and conditioning, right? You're going to have your own trainer for strength and conditioning, and then you're going to have one that helps you on the court with your basketball skills. So they pay for multiple too.
I want to know, here's what I'd like to know on that point. And I don't know if there's any way to get the numbers on how many basketball players. My thing, so if I'm looking at football, basketball, baseball, which I think we've taken football out of the conversation. Football is really not that expensive to play as a kid. It's just not. Wow. Because you go to your little league but I want to know how many basketball players
I disagree.
Are on football. What did you have to pay $1,000? I was in third grade.
I did not have to pay $1,000 to play football, but I also didn't play past the 7th grade.
The third grade, I paid $50 to play.
You can, but that's okay. But
I got a helmet, I got pads, I got pants, I got a jersey. $50,
and you sucked
in any of these
because
sports,
you didn't have trainers.
In any of these sports,
which is the exact argument we're making right now.
You can spend upwards of if you really want, you could spend $1 million training on any of them,
and you would have a better shot with that training. Than a kid that spent $0.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna say right now. If you spend $1 million to train me, or you spend $0 to train Jared Mckenzie or whatever, he's gonna beat me every time. You can spend $10 million to train me. I am not gonna hit as well as he is.
I don't know if that's true. But Jared Mckenzie probably spent another $1 million on. Who knows? We don't know what his baseball background looks like.
I could spend 10 times the amount of money on myself versus him. He's just got talent. I don't think that's what it's about. I don't think it's about who spends more money is the better player. I don't think that's how it works at all.
I would say training definitely plays a huge part in that, especially in baseball.
What?
Baseball
in every sport.
But look, baseball more than any other sport. I would say this. Baseball more than any other sport.
Why?
Takes natural talent out of the equation more so than football, basketball. You don't know why? Athletes in baseball look a lot different than they do in football, basketball. Football, basketball players are specimen. You can be a specimen. Baseball. Bartolo Colon, 280.
Therefore, the training means less.
No. The training means more because now you're taking a guy who's not a physical specimen and trying to make him good at a sport. That takes extensive training.
Just natural skill.
No. You can have natural skill is so much more key in football and basketball than it is in baseball.
How many guys who go to a trainer are going to stay out of shape? I don't care if it's a skills trainer or what type of trainer. How many trainers are going to be like, yeah, you take this seriously, you're out of shape? I
don't know what that means. I don't know what that has to do at this point.
Wait, so I just
you're saying that it's easier to be good at a sport and you need less training if you're just an athletic specimen, right?
You need less training if you're an athletic specimen. Not that you need less training, but that it is more naturally gifted talent, athletic specimen. You are more apt to be good at football, basketball, whereas in baseball, the playing field opens up a lot more.
So basically, you're saying anyone with a lot of money could be good at baseball, but not so much in basketball or football.
That sounds right.
The more money you have, so say I've got $1 million and my kid is just a mediocre athlete, and I could pour it into any of these three sports for him to have the chance to play college something. Absolutely baseball. Absolutely baseball. I would say it's tough to argue that basketball or football, because again, I think natural talent plays a lot more into basketball and football than it does in baseball.
If you're trying to pay for success, I can see that. Wondering how we got here from the which one costs more, though.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that point.
We've kind of taken
but that was not your original argument.
I think that does tie it. Do you see the correlation between that and the original argument?
I don't think it helps your original argument.
Wait, okay, so you're saying, I think I understand what you're trying to say. So, you're saying because you have a better chance of making it farther in baseball if you pay a lot of money, people are naturally paying more money into baseball than other sports.
Right.
Because they think they have a better chance.
Because they know their kid's going to have, Jimmy's going to have a better chance at going and playing baseball and being good than he would to go out there and play football, where he's mediocre at all three. But if we pour more money into baseball, he's got a better shot. So that's why more people are pouring more money into baseball than they are the other two.
But you were talking, at first we were just talking about one individual person paying for their sport to get to like the top.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, yeah, maybe more people in general are pouring money into baseball, but like for one person, I think it's about the same.
Right. I would say that's probably the argument that I should have been clearer on the front end. That's the argument that I'm making, that around across the board, that in that case, you're looking at baseball wise, it's better. I mean, you got more people are pouring more money into it. Whereas if you're an individual, like I have $5 million and I want my son to be great at football, basketball, baseball, and he's good at all three, then I could pay that $5 million. I mean, individually, those sports probably cost pretty similarly or almost the same to make them great at any of the three. I mean, it's not like hey, I want my kid to be the best they can be at basketball. I'll pay $1 million between their 8 and 19 for them to be great. You're probably paying that same amount for the same amount of stuff in baseball or football. Yes. Maybe even, I think to Andrew's point, more so in football at that point. Like if you're, because those are just stupid rare. When you get, the more rare those things are, the more money you put into it. And football, it is much more rare to find tournament football, or which exists for kids. So weird. Or like the 7-on-7 stuff, the Elite 11 quarterback stuff. That's so much more rare, so it's so much more expensive.
Yeah.
Okay.
I initially thought you were saying baseball is the most expensive sport out of all sports, and that got me really excited to start arguing hockey. But then you said baseball, football, basketball.
I wouldn't have,
unfortunately,
sunk on hockey. I'm just thinking
hockey's so expensive.
So expensive.
Hockey's so expensive.
Yeah.
Ice time, plus you got to buy your sticks, and like they're so expensive. You got to buy your equipment. I still don't understand what Looney Tunes world you were growing up in, where everyone just gave you a helmet and just was like, hey.
Pop Warner League football. Pay $50. Everybody gets a helmet. Everybody gets a jersey, pads,
so you
pants.
Paid for that.
Oh, money.
Yeah, you pay like an entry fee to get in the league. Is $50. Like you play the whole season.
And they supply that all with you.
Yeah.
And then you return it.
You don't have to.
That's
exactly.
nice. That was not how it worked in my city.
It's like you rent it out. You go play league football. That $50 lets you play 10 games. It gives you all the equipment.
Wow, that's some Bologna type stuff.
Yeah, that's not how it worked where I was
not how it worked for me. It was like a lot more expensive.
All of it, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's the worst.
Helmet, pads.
We still have like helmets sitting around the house.
I want to speak to your league director. They need to be fired.
I think that's how it works everywhere else but Bologna,
I think
Arkansas.
you might be the odd character in this argument.
Yeah, I agree.
You made a lot of personal experience arguments here.
You did.
Wow. I mean, that's like, it was $50 and you played football. That's how it should be.
I mean, that's
any sport.
It's a great
I can
model,
see why you think baseball and softball are so expensive, because you have that personal experience and you don't have that with other sports. With your sister.
I don't have it with football, but I feel I've been to a lot of UIBL stuff for basketball. I followed the UIBL really closely when I was in high school. And yeah, the money's astronomical. But I think we do get to the point where it's if you've got $5 million, you want your kid to be good at something, and you can put it in anything, and your kid's not good at anything, baseball's the route to go. Because you got a guy like Chipper Jones, slow as Christmas. Like, Chipper Jones on a basketball floor probably sucks, but put him in a batter's box, could hit the crap out of a baseball. You know, like it's just a completely. Oh my gosh, David Ortiz.
I thought the hardest thing in all of sports was hitting a major league fastball.
Yeah,
that's what I was told is the most difficult task in all sports.
Yeah, you don't have to be an athlete to do it. You know.
Yeah,
it's more
different. It's a different kind of athleticism.
Right. It's more of a hand-eye coordination thing than it is. You don't have to be a athletic specimen. Whereas in basketball, I can go out there and be big fat jumbo and have really good hand-eye coordination, but also I can't run, so I suck. Baseball, you can not run and be really good at baseball, i.e., Prince Fielder, Albert Pujols, Nelson Cruz.
Nelson Cruz is slim. Is he not?
No. Nelson Cruz is a big boy.
He's chunky.
Stop my Nelson slander.
Armstrong, do you have that clip of me making the baseball argument?
What do you mean?
Why Baylor should make it in, that 12-minute clip of why Baylor should make it in?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our top 5. That's number 1. We're not even going to hit a break here. We're just going to roll right in the top 5. I'm physically, mentally drained.
So
that was a very interesting argument, yeah.
Yeah, I'm bowing out.
18 minutes left in the show.
I think we're closing up shop. Well, no, I'm not bowing out. We're just going to run. That's our top 5. All right, but top 5 things that happened this week. The number 1 thing, well, why is Baylor baseball going to make the postseason tournament? Well, let's figure it out. All right, I want to get into now baseball, Baylor baseball season, and what it is that is going to propel Baylor into the postseason. Cue the music. So I got a list right here that was sent to me yesterday by somebody in the Baylor athletics departments. Credit goes to Baylor. What every school does that's on the bubble is they send their resume to their conference, and the conference is going to send the resume from the school, the university, over to the NCAA committee. So these are the same notes that the NCAA committee will review on Sunday to determine whether or not Baylor baseball is going to make it in the postseason. Note number 1. These are the reasons why Baylor baseball is going to make it in. I'm going to start with these quick facts. Then I'm going to roll through RPI and what the RPI means for Baylor baseball right now and why they're going to make it. Number 1. Baylor baseball is one of just 3 Power 5 teams to be top 2 in their conference in batting average and ERA. The Big 12 is the RPI number 2 conference in America, and Baylor is at the top of the conference in batting average and ERA. Baylor, Vanderbilt, and Nebraska are the only 3 teams in the Power 5 that hold that ranking right now. Baylor's the only team in the Big 12 that is top 2 in both batting average, number 1, and ERA, trailing only number 3 Texas. Only team in the Big 12 that's top 2 in batting average and ERA. They're only trailing in ERA the number 3 team in the country, Texas, that is. They're the only team in the Big 12 with a batting average above 300. The team is 305. Again, Big 12, the second best RPI team in our RPI conference in the country, and Baylor's the top statistically. 14th nationally in batting average, 21st nationally in ERA, top 25 in both of those categories. That's a team that you don't want in the NCAA tournament. 8 of top 10 hitters on the team are batting .290 or better. Only team to win a series at number 5 Texas Tech this season. First team since 2018 to do so. That's where you hang your hat if you're Baylor right now on the resume. You're in one of the best conferences in baseball. You're leading statistically. You're a top 25 team in multiple major statistics, and they're going to leave you out of the tournament. They outscored Tech in that series 26-8, only trailed for 1 inning on the weekend. They won 4 straight Big 12 series in the face of adversity, too. So you start 1-5. That may not bode well for you, but you respond to that with 4 straight series victories in the Big 12. This is where I hang my hat the most when it comes to NCAA tournament and why Baylor should make it in. This is what the committee has to factor in. Number 1 starting pitcher, your ace, Tyler Thomas, 5-2, 2.49 ERA. Missed 2 starts down the stretch due to COVID protocol against K-State, OU, and was out for the Big 12 tournament. Would have pitched there. Starting first baseman Chase Wesner missed 7 games down the stretch due to COVID protocol. Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and the first game of the Oklahoma series. Your number 3 guy, Blake Helton, out for the Big 12 championship with an arm injury. And his season has gone well, especially here as of late. He suffered that injury in the 2nd inning of the season finale loss versus OU. If Blake Helton doesn't get hurt, who knows what Baylor could have done in the series against OU to win it. Starting third baseman Esteban Cardozo-Oquendo has missed 9 games this season with injuries, including the last 5. Tyler Thomas, Blake Helton, Esteban Cardozo-Oquendo, and Chase Wesner. The 4 guys that have been hurt the last 8 games where Baylor has gone 2-6. All 4 would return for NCAA postseason. So Baylor that's not at full strength, not a postseason team. I agree with that. But Baylor at full strength, which is where they would be for a regional, makes it into the NCAA tournament. This is a Baylor team that deserves to be in the NCAA tournament. Baylor's tied for the 2nd most all Big 12 first teamers, Luke Boyd, Andy Thomas, and Jared Mckenzie. You got those 3 guys. You're telling me a team with those 3 guys is going to miss the playoffs. They're one of the youngest teams in the nation. 28 of the 43 players on the roster had never played in a Big 12 game. They set a new Big 12 record with runs in an inning. We'll have one of the top closers in the country in Luke Boyd, one of the best catchers in the country in Andy Thomas, one of the best outfielders in the country in Jared Mckenzie. Boyd, a 1.11 ERA through 26 innings pitched, 40 Ks, 8 saves. Thomas, 342 average, 11 home runs, 59 RBI, started every game behind the plate this season. And Jared Mckenzie, 380 average, 61 runs, 9 home runs, 39 RBI, projected first-round pick. You're going to leave those guys out of the NCAA tournament. You're going to leave those statistics out of the NCAA tournament. An electric team like Baylor that can score runs at a high level and will be healthy. That is the key. Baylor will be healthy going into the postseason. That's what makes this team different. Do I want the Baylor team that lost to Kansas State in the NCAA tournament? No, they don't deserve to be. But when your top three of your top players, 4 of your top players really, all go out with injury, and you lose a group of games after really good success, well, that checks out. That's usually what happens when guys go down. Now you've got them all back. Full strength Baylor is an NCAA tournament team, and they will be at full strength no matter where they go. Now I want to get RPI. What needs to happen? Baylor is about as bubble as you can bubble right now. I'm looking at WarrenNolan.com for Baylor's live RPI. They started at RPI 40 yesterday, lost to Kansas State. Baylor dropped to RPI 43. Baylor is right in the same category RPI-wise as Virginia, who's at 41, Georgia Tech at 42, and again, Baylor at 43. So if you're watching right now, you can see these RPI rankings going through the 20s and into the 30s. The 30s is where I want to stop right here, right there in that 35, 34 to 44 range, if we can, Armstrong, right there from VCU down to Baylor, if you'll scroll up through that. So looking at VCU there at 34, I've got them highlighted as a team that is on the bubble. You're, again, as the committee, you're telling me that VCU would get in as an at-large. They shouldn't. Here's what Baylor needs to happen, though. Baylor needs VCU, Indiana State, Liberty, Northeast. If you're watching, you see all these teams right here. Campbell. Baylor needs those teams right there. VCU, Indiana State, Liberty, Northeastern, Campbell, who are all still alive in their conference tournaments, to win their conference tournaments. The key for Baylor to make the postseason is that one bid leagues like the A-Sun, the Atlantic 10, the Big East, leagues that should only get one team in. Those squads that are RPI top 40 need to win their conference. If they win their conference, that means those leagues will still only get one team in. It doesn't bump a bubble team out of the conversation. It is imperative that those teams win their conference. If that happens, if things go as planned with teams winning their conference, one bid leagues stay one bid leagues, Baylor's looking good. Here's another stat I want to point to right here. Baylor being at RPI 43. There are 31 automatic bids across the country for NCAA postseason teams. 31 squads make it in, period. If you're looking right here, if you go back to the top, Armstrong, please, into the top 10 RPI-wise. I'm looking at Arizona, Arkansas, Texas Tech, Notre Dame right there in the top 10. If those teams all win their conference like they should, take Texas Tech, for example. If Tech wins the conference, that means a team like Kansas State won't make it into the postseason. And that's the best news for Baylor because it doesn't mean a bubble team gets bounced out of the conversation. So Baylor staying right where they are is so crucial. Texas Tech staying right where they are, winning the conference. TCU, one of those teams, is so crucial to keep that bubble clean for Baylor. On top of that, not only do you need one bid leagues to stay one bid leagues, you need some of these teams back around Baylor in that 35 to 45 range to start losing their conference tournament. So there are question marks starting around 27. LSU's at 27. Folks don't know if they're going to make it into the NCAA tournament. That's still up in the air. If LSU has a question mark, that means anybody down from them can have a question mark on whether or not they'll make it in. Baylor could make it in over LSU this season just because the way that things will shake out. I'm looking here at another couple of stats that differentiate Baylor from teams around them. Virginia is a squad right now that's on top of Notre Dame. If Virginia beats Notre Dame, they're probably in squarely because Notre Dame is in squarely. That hurts Baylor because Virginia is an RPI team that's close to the Bears. Baylor at 43, right there by Georgia Tech. Tech already has one win in the ACC tournament. They lost to Clemson, beat Louisville. If they lose again, Baylor could jump Georgia Tech. Campbell is also there. Georgia's there. UCLA's there. Here's the number that I like. Before I give you some bad news, I want to give you the number I like. There are 31 teams that are locked in because they win their conference tournament. If those 31 teams go as planned, and there are not upsets, or very few upsets, then there are those 33 teams get at-large bids. Baylor would be, if those 31 all win as planned, Baylor would be the 27th best team RPI-wise to get an at-large bid. So of those 33 squads that are vying for at-large bids, Baylor's the 27th best one in the RPI. When you crunch all the numbers, take out the teams that should win their conference championships, dwindle that down out of the top 45, Baylor's number 27. 33 teams to make it in. That bodes well for you. So now you're asking 6 conferences to just go as planned. Baylor can sneak in as the 64th best team. Here's what doesn't bode well for the Bears. I'm looking at RPI wins against Quad 1 teams. Baylor is 4-9 against teams in Quadrant 1. Here are some of the records of folks around them that are on the bubble. UCLA, 9-7. You've got Georgia, 8-15. Virginia, 11-17. Georgia Tech, 14-13. Baylor, 4-9. Florida State, 13-11. Those Quad 1 wins are going to help those squads. What bodes well for Baylor? Quad 3 and Quad 4, the games you're supposed to win. Baylor right now is 19-3. They're winning the games they're expected to win. That helps boost your resume at least. That's going to benefit Baylor going down the stretch. But the Quad 1 wins, the lack of Quad 1 wins, Baylor's strength of schedule, 47th in the nation compared to Georgia Tech, who is 26, Virginia, who's 23, Georgia, who is 7, UCLA, who's 41. Baylor at 47 will need to jump a couple of these teams to be squarely in the tournament. As I look at it right now, percent chance of Baylor baseball to make the NCAA tournament, Quad 1 wins taken into account, RPI taken into account, injuries taken into account, everything put together and tied into a bow, 30% chance. There's a 30% chance right now that Baylor baseball makes the postseason, goes to the NCAAs, and has a shot to make it to a super regional or into Omaha. Baylor can do it, but you got four guys who have been hurt that are back and that deserve to be in the playoffs. Because when this team's at full strength, they are a legitimate contender in the postseason to make some noise and make a splash. The numbers are there. The RPI is there. Baylor, 27 out of 33 at-large that are going to make it in. If the committee follows RPI closely, if the committee follows Baylor's injuries, and if the committee judges the Big 12 as the second best conference in baseball and gives the Big 12 the respect it deserves, Baylor is one of the last 4 teams to make it in the NCAA tournament, and Baylor is safely, squarely in. I don't care if you're playing in Fayetteville. I don't care if you're going up and playing in Vanderbilt, playing at Arizona. I don't care if you're playing in Knoxville, Starkville. Give Baylor somewhere to make some noise and make a splash, because they can do it at full strength. I'm Drake Toll, Armstrong Sims, Andrew Robertson, Marquise Cooley, and Jack Mckenzie. Baylor baseball. We'll see you in the postseason, folks. We'll see you in the postseason. When we come back, Jake Walsh, former Baylor baseball player, joins the show in studio. Don't go anywhere. This is Up Tempo. Just kidding. No Jake Walsh. It's back. It's us. We're in the studio today, cooking up in the stew. Aisha Curry. Got some celebrity birthdays. All right. Boy, howdy. That last hour of the show went way different than I thought it was going to go.
Good.
What do you mean good?
I agree.
That was completely unplanned.
Good.
So very unplanned.
That's exactly how it should go.
Celebrity birthday number 1. Oh, too soon. Cameron Boyce.
Dude.
Would have been how old today? I forgot he died.
I don't even know who that is.
He died. He was on that kids show.
18?
Oh, the guy who died.
18?
That's helpful.
Stop. You're dark.
Would he have been 18?
So what he?
I got an 18.
19?
20.
22.
What?
22.
He
looks so young.
What?
Who is that?
Yeah, take that. Alec Benjamin. Anybody know who that is? All right.
No.
Oh, that guy.
27. He hopefully listen. Hey,
Alec Baldwin.
Fingers crossed that Alec Benjamin over the next year just stays safe, because 27 is a dangerous age. Who all has died at 27? Let's go around the room.
A lot of people. There's a club.
Yeah. I haven't. Hey, Rob, have you?
I'm not 27 yet, so I guess we'll see.
Marquise, if you died at 27, let's go around the room, guys.
Got Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain.
Jack hasn't died at 27 either.
Amy Winehouse was 27 when she died.
So none of us.
27 club. We've
You
got.
said who has died at 27. Let's go around the room.
We have Caroline Sartorius, probably Jacob's older sister.
20.
21.
Okay. 24. Gladys Knight, soul singer Gladys Knight.
And the Pips.
Oh, Jimi Hendrix died at 27?
I'm going to say...
It's a club.
Gladys Knight is...
It's very exclusive.
70.
Okay. 70?
Her name's Gladys, so I'm going to go 63. What'd you say? 87 from Marquise.
Jack?
She's probably older than
77.
Oh.
Michael Orr, star of the hit movie The Blind Side.
Oh.
That's all he's known for.
He's also a football player.
Well, he's not the star of it, actually. He's the subject.
5, 4. How old's Michael Orr?
30.
41.
35. Colby Calais. Woohoo. I know it better than I know myself, so I'm going to let it do all the talking. There's a big black horse and a cherry tree. I said no. Colby Calais. No.
37.
Black horse and a cherry tree?
I've heard that song.
21.
No.
Woohoo. 36. Jerry.
Wow.
Jerry West. Jerry West.
That's pretty good.
Why do I know that name?
50. No. He's 73.
God. Jerry West, the Lakers.
logo.
Yeah,
He's
I
the
know.
NBA
No,
logo.
I know.
No, I know.
I'm thinking.
Hey.
I know.
Yeah,
that was a lot. that was a lot.
I don't know. I think he's probably like 68.
Okay.
Is he older than that?
83.
Ugh.
Jep Robertson. One of the more unfortunate names in the world.
I mean,
Jep. No, I like Jep.
48.
48.
Yeah, no, he's older. He's going to be 50.
Okay.
3.
43.
Really?
That's awkward, yeah.
Marco Rubio.
That is awkward.
Marco Rubio. How old?
57.
No, what? He's so young.
Is he?
Well, younger than 57. 38.
God, the disparity. 50. He's 50.
What?
What?
He looks great. He actually looks
bro.
great.
Yeah, Armstrong makes a great point here. He is a politician. That's kind of the point.
He's going to look great till he's 75.
First indoor swimming pool
Goes to the groomer
opens
every single day.
In what year? This day.
Ever?
First ever.
First indoor swimming pool opens. Goodman Fields, London.
Okay, I'm going to say. How are we defining swimming?
Yeah, don't ask me.
Because like the Roman baths.
The website knows.
We're indoors.
1628.
200 BC.
1742. I find it hard to believe that was the first indoor swimming pool.
Yeah, I find that difficult.
1742. We got Hammond scores his 1,000th cricket run of the season after 22 days.
2021.
2020.
1927.
Close.
So close. The IPL cricket final, Ncaa Cheddabaram Stadium, Chennai Super Kings beat Royal Challengers Bangalore by 58 runs. Murali
58 runs?
Vijay, 95. Ravichandran Ashwin, 3 of 16.
Tough day for sports.
Keep dragging it out.
1950.
Okay, close.
Really?
Close. Oh, gosh dang it. It really caught me off guard this time.
Later, guys.
2 minutes, 2:30. All right, I'm Drake Toll. We got Armstrong Sims, Jack Mckenzie, Andrew Robertson, and Marquise Cooley today, hashing things out across the end of the show. It's that's awesome. Hashing things out at the end of the show. I don't even know what to say to you guys. I think it was the reaction that got me. If you can do it, you can do it. It's storming outside and it's raining, man, and we'll do it all again next Tuesday because Monday is that day that we're going to do it. This has been, I look so tan, Up Tempo.